You're now listening to episode 68 of Signed In, an Xbox 360 podcast, record on May 1st, 2011. Find us online at signedinpodcast.com. Welcome back to Signed In. I am Jeremy Superfro 33.
I'm Craig Propdresser.
And I'm Sean Shonick.
It sounded like you're forgetting it there at the end there, Jeremy.
I always do that sometimes. I like to mix it up.
I always do that sometimes.
I always do that sometimes.
That's awesome. You're consistent in your inconsistency.
I'm consistent almost sometimes.
Good to know.
I'm almost always consistent.
Oh, this is a great start.
How are you guys?
Okay, doing all right.
We're good.
Good.
I said we're, but yeah.
I know. Sean speaks for both of us.
For Craig now?
Yep.
Or maybe Sean's speaking for two.
I am.
On his own.
I'm pregnant.
Are you with child?
I am with child, only because I stole it from the handy mart.
Don't steal children?
I didn't steal it. I let it.
That's like a really bad thing to steal because it just costs you more money.
Could you not be on tape saying you led children to the car?
Well, I watched Savannah Smiles the other day, and that's such a cute movie.
What movie?
Savannah Smiles, where those guys steal that little girl, they kidnap her, and then they fall in love with her, and then it's a sad movie.
Is this more another peek into the Sean movie library?
Really, it had nothing to do, and I remembered the movie after I said I led kids to a car, because I'm like, I have nowhere out of this, so I might as well talk about a cute movie that everybody should go and pay attention to and not think about what I just said earlier.
So you were in deflect mode.
I was trying to, but then when I forgot Savannah Smiles, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's even worse. And
you forgot the company you were with.
And I need to stop talking.
That's right.
It's going to be one of those mornings, I guess.
It might be.
Or days, or years, actually.
So, other than your kidnapping, alleged kidnapping.
Yeah, alleged, yeah.
What else have you guys been doing? Game-wise, what we got this week?
I got a smattering of indie games. Really,
smattering, yeah.
Platforming is the name of the game for me this episode.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple platformers in the indie game marketplace. I got a few platformers in XBLA, including Fancy Pants Adventures, NIN²-JUMP, and Outland. Mm-hmm. And then for platformers in the disc games, I've got Portal 2 and Lego Star Wars 3.
You are platforming now.
I told you.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it's one of my favorite genres,
That's
actually.
Great.
So.
Well, then it's a good week for you.
Yeah. And then DLC-wise, I finally got around to buying and playing the DLC for Stacking.
Nice.
The Lost Hobo King, which has been out for like at least a month, right?
Rock out. Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
We hadn't talked about it.
Ridiculous.
I still haven't played it, so
I know.
You'll have to tell me everything.
I'm not surprised by that.
I'm sure you're not. Neither am I. I'm pathetic. How about you, Sean?
I got a couple indie games in. I tried out that Outland and a couple of the other arcade releases. Mm-hmm. Portal 2, Mortal Kombat.
Portal 2 Mortal Kombat?
Yes, it's the new. I got the.
You just open a portal and everybody.
Yeah, it's just like
that would be a good ability.
He's just like.
Just one above them, one below them.
There's the dude that has that in there.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a guy that has those portal abilities. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah. And then I got some Gears 3 beta in.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
And
That's right.
Not as much as I had wanted to. Some things threw me off, but still good stuff.
Did you play the first Portal, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Yep, I made it to the final stage, and then I returned the orange box, and then I realized after I talked to many people that I was at the final stage. I thought I had.
I can loan you mine if you want to.
I might have to borrow it from you.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I can't loan it to you because I was looking for it to replay it, and I don't have it in my home.
Oh, really?
I don't know where it went.
I didn't.
I bet
steal
Sean
it.
has it.
I did not.
Did you borrow it?
I did not
with
borrow
Dead Space 2?
Well, you got
Dead Space 1.
You got Dead Space back.
Okay,
so
that's true.
I wouldn't. I would have returned the orange box, but yeah, I was just like one.
That's cool.
One
Just take a
level
look
away
if
from
you get
being
home.
done. I'll make sure.
Just in case.
I don't have your orange box.
Jeremy, what'd you play?
Everything you guys did. Not everything you guys did, but you guys already mentioned everything I have.
Why are you stalking me?
I have Portal 2. I have some Mortal Kombat. Played indie game that I'm going to talk about. If you don't first, Craig. And,
I'll let you lead that.
That's about it. I also did, I guess, check out the new Pinball FX table, that Mars table. What? Is that all right?
Are you? Yeah, you're able to talk about it now, right?
I am
Is that
able
correct?
to talk about
right.
it. Right,
because you hinted at that last episode.
I did.
Yeah, and I
teased it.
and I
Teased
downloaded it and
so
never
they say.
tried it out. I
Well, way
wanted
to
to
go.
try it. I know.
That's me.
But that's the thing. Other games kept me busy. Mortal Kombat kept me busier than I thought it would, but we'll talk about that.
I thought you also did some zombie vanquishing.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even put it on my notes because I didn't figure I was even going to talk about it. But I did play finally some Dead Rising Case Zero.
Oh, okay.
Dead Rising 2
You're not
Case
going to talk
Zero.
about it at all?
I'll probably mention it.
Okay.
I don't know if I have anything else to add, but we'll talk about it.
Well, your
at least
opinion.
talk about how lame I am in waiting so long. And thankfully, it went on sale this week.
Oh, yeah.
So look at that.
Yeah.
$2.50 richer for my waiting around. That's right.
Because the other one, all that stuff went on sale this past week, didn't it?
Yeah. A bunch of the Dead Rising stuff, yeah. That's why I was asking about well, we'll talk about it when we get to it. All right. So let's start the show. How about that?
Indie games.
Yes.
All right. I'll save my platformers for a little bit later. So I'm going to start off instead with Hack This Game, which is a fun little $1 80-point game. And basically, as you can guess, it's about hacking.
What?
Yeah. And it's a puzzler is essentially what it is. And so using the 4 main buttons, X, A, B, Y, you are trying to figure out passwords, and then it has different sort of criteria each time around and different ways of kind of giving you feedback of what you did right and what you didn't do right. And so you're trying to basically beat the clock and put in the password before your clock runs out and figure out what the correct password is. And it's got a great sort of retro Apple IIe, look to it with the green print, and it builds itself up across the screen as it starts up. I think it had like 25 levels, and in the demo you can get through like the first 4 or something, so you get a pretty good idea of what it's like. And it's a great little fast thinking sort of puzzle. You have to think really quickly. And then it also seems to have this alternate mode, which is called Tracer, I believe, or something. Anyway, and so it's basically that principle that you see in the TV, in the movies all the time, where the dude's calling and they don't want to get traced, so they got their hacker dude basically bouncing their signal all around the world. Yeah, and so you have a map of the world, all in the green print again, and like this line is moving towards a destination, and you have to input. You have to input a sequence before it reaches that destination. If it reaches that destination, then they trace your call, and it's game over. And then once you do that, then you just move on to another one, and the line starts moving a little faster, and so you just keep bouncing around like that. And that was actually quite entertaining. Again, it's this sort of fast-paced action. Action in air quotes there. It's not like it's action, but it's getting you to do things and think about things really quickly.
It sounds kind of panicky,
and it's quite fun. Actually, I didn't feel that very panicked. I didn't feel very panicked at all. Maybe it's the black background with the green print on it.
I'm also not very bright, so
it's not like with the puzzle.
No one argued with you on that.
I know.
Comment.
Well, that's because I know my crowd.
Basically, the puzzle aspect does require you to think things out a little bit, and it took me. I had to kind of figure out, okay, so how is it giving me feedback? But with the Tracer one, it's just speed.
See, and that's where I get panicked though. For me,
but it's just 4 buttons.
Okay, well, but even like when there's a sequence and like I have any kind of like time situation, I just like start screwing up like a dork.
Well, you get plenty of time to begin with, and then it just starts speeding up a little by little. I liked it quite a bit. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to feel about it when I downloaded it, but it sounded intriguing, and I actually liked it quite a bit. Cool. So I definitely recommend people checking that one out.
Cool. I've got Starzzle. It was 80 points. It's from Bionic Thumbs, and it's this pretty much a maze puzzler. You're like this red ghost, and you're eating these stars. And the first one's pretty easy. You're in these like group of bushes, like you're in like a shrub maze essentially, and you can only move left, right, up, down, and then the shrubs stop you. So the first one you just move across the screen and eat the first star, and that's it. And then as the ones get bigger and bigger, you just have to make it from point A to point B and go around. But there's times where if you go to one part of the map, you might actually get stuck.
Yep.
Oh,
so then you have to reset. But I really like the game. It's a fun puzzler. It was 80 points. The polish on it, I think it looks amazing. I thought the style was good. The graphics looked really good. It's very crisp. I liked it.
I like it a lot too. I like how it looked. I like the puzzle aspect of it, and like you said, you just go straight across. You can't stop in the middle of anywhere. It's just whenever you hit an object that you'll stop. And like you said, I did get trapped a couple times where you really get comfortable with, okay, I go down to this one. It's like you go to whatever one you can get.
Yeah.
But some of those later maps, it's the one you can get right now is the last one you need to pick up.
Yeah.
Because if you go down to get that one right now, you can't get all these other ones that are over on the side.
Yep.
And the game unlocks more levels by getting more stars. And I think there's like, throughout the whole game, there's 900 and some stars to get. So there's a ton. And it almost had that like Mario type feel to it, like when you're on the screen selection. I mean, some of that stuff looked that good, in my opinion. It's static for the most part, so there's not a lot of animation going on. But the graphic wise, it just the animation or the art style is really well done.
I think they did a really good job with it. For $1, I thought it looked.
And it was
really
easy to
good
restart
looking.
levels because you would have to restart sometimes if you screwed up. But even when you screwed up, you got some of those stars and they counted towards your overall star count. So that would still unlock more levels and things like that. And then later on, they added in the blue, like the wall.
See, I didn't get to that part yet.
So they added in the blue guy, and when you hit the A button, now you control the blue guy, and he moves where he stops as well. So if he runs into a bush, he'll stop, but he acts as a wall that you can move around in the level. And then now your red guy, when you switch back to him, he'll hit the blue guy, and so you have to hit him in the right spot to like stop yourself as the red guy.
Yeah.
It just seems like a really involved as you get on, go along. Probably is my guess.
Well, I was wondering where he came into because he's on the he's on the cover and he's on the screens. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked the look. I didn't get to that part, but for 80 points, I kept it on my hard drive because I think I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, like I said, they had like 900 and some stars you have to get total, and then there's like leaderboards on there, and then there's also some challenges. Modes.
Yeah, and I didn't try those out because I really got stuck in the mazes. Like I was like, oh.
Seems like there's a lot
zombied out, yeah.
Look pretty cool.
Yep.
Excellent. I've got another one here. We Come in Peace, and this is a side-scrolling non-shooter. Basically, you're this alien who has been receiving transmissions from Earth, and he says, hey, these Earth people seem pretty cool. I'm going to go check them out. And so then he gets approved, and so he hops in a UFO, and he's trying to fly. So you're trying to fly in from all the way out from Pluto down towards Earth. Only the Earth people are trying to kill you the entire time.
Right.
But he's completely pacifist, so your job is to kind of dodge things as the screen keeps scrolling and enemies come onto the screen and are shooting at you. And it's very funny. It's got a lot of humor in it, as you can probably guess based on that simple premise there. But a lot of humor in it, and it's pretty simple. Like I said, it's not like you have a lot of button manipulation to do. It's mostly dodging things on the screen. But it was quite a bit of fun, and I believe that one was 80 points as well, and something to check out.
Cool.
I don't even remember seeing that. I'll have to look.
Yeah, it was a little.
I don't like
earlier.
the cover, and that's why I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't like the cover either.
Yeah.
Actually, it's this alien silhouette standing in a doorway, and I'm like, ugh. But then I looked, ugh.
Yeah.
But I always go in and check the screenshots, and the screenshots were a little better.
Yeah.
And I liked the description where it was like, you're not shooting. It reminded me a little bit of that Squid Game where you weren't attacking, or Shield the Beat where you weren't able to attack. Just trying to protect yourself.
I'll have to check it out because I saw that. I was like, I didn't even. That's weird.
It was a bad choice
for me now.
No, I mean I've seen some of the indie developers on like Twitter and stuff talking about the importance of their cover art.
Yeah,
and
we've talked about it on here before too.
Yeah,
Like, that makes a difference sometimes.
A big difference.
Yeah. First impression and all that.
Definitely.
I've got a platformer that I'm going to jump into.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Let's get the platform.
LaserCat.
LaserCat.
I didn't see this was
an owl friend.
Because this was a cover.
An owl friend.
This is the cover that I was
Wozord,
like,
the magic space frog, or
I'm
something.
not checking it out. Now I'm upset. I'm missing out on
You should be
all the
upset.
fun.
It's good.
I am upset. I just
Monster Jail Games is the maker, and it is 80 points, and it is awesome. Basically, you're a cat. It's very 8-bit. Like even less than
it's like Atari
it's very
level.
Atari.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Adventure when I played that on ColecoVision. Going from room to room, and
because it works like where they have like a Castlevania Metroid style map where there's room after room after room are all connected above, below, on the side.
And there's no clear direct path.
Not
for you
at
to
all.
take.
You can in every room
awesome.
you can go to another room.
Yeah,
and
multiple rooms
at the pause menu, or you can hit pause to look at your map.
Yeah.
And it'll show you the different squares. And I think there's like 225 rooms.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. And so in those rooms, of all those 225 rooms, there's 30 keys to collect to save your owl friend who's been kidnapped by the Wizard.
That is his name, Owl Friend.
Owl friend. That's correct.
All one word.
Wizard.
Wizard, the space frog.
The space frog has captured him. And so there's a bunch of different traps. It's basically a platformer where
He was wearing a wizard hat, wasn't he? It was like this frog standing on
He had like a robe and stuff, I think, on too. But it's basically a platformer with any of those regular traps that you can't run into. There's moving platforms. There's like treadmill like things that'll move you along. There's these paths that'll, if you get into them, I can't remember what they call them, but they're like currents that'll move.
Oh yeah, the air currents. Yeah.
And basically, you're just looking for these keys. Now, also in these rooms, there are save points or checkpoints, and when you go by them, that'll be your last or your next point that you're brought back to if you die.
Yeah, which is nice.
Which is very nice because sometimes you can get pretty far removed in that space, like from where you were just a minute ago. But then also, anytime you pick up a key, you have to go through a checkpoint or it won't be saved.
Right.
So if you have a key and then die, you start back at your old checkpoint and have to get to...
makes sense. I mean, the checkpoints are the quick saves.
Correct.
So, yeah. Yeah, but very cool. And you don't have any sort of attack or anything. So, again, it's you dodging and trying to manipulate your way through this maze.
And it's interesting to me, some of the ways to get like to rooms, because obviously they'll have you come up like a below the room.
Yeah.
And you'll be in a little section that you can't get to the top of it because you have to come in from a side to see that. So you'll already be in the room, but you can't really get to where you want to be.
Right.
So that stuff is like awesome.
And I love the sound design in there, and the music was good too.
I thought the music was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really happy with it.
Yeah, even the little sound of the cat hopping along.
And the colors, like it is so bright,
and it changes because sometimes I would try to jump to another screen and miss like the ledge, and I come back down, and the room that I came back into was a different color.
Yeah, it's essentially
it just
neon,
randomizes them. Yeah,
and it's awesome.
Yes,
that sounds cool.
80 points, $1.
I missed it.
I highly recommend it. I bought it, so I'm gonna. Does it
outbeat Technocat in your opinion?
Well,
Technokitten.
Come on. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You got to put it in perspective.
Let us be real on that one.
Well,
if it would have had the Techno Kitten song playing while you're jumping around,
then I would have turned it off.
My ears would bleed.
Speaking of animals jumping around things, I got Niji, which is
Oh,
did you play this too? Yeah. This was 80 points, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Do you remember who it was from?
I don't, because it frustrated me. But go ahead.
It's kind of frustrating.
I'm in.
So basically, it's a vertical climbing game.
Yeah.
Not dissimilar from Monsters Probably Stole My Princess.
Yep.
And so you are a rainbow fish, and you're normally jumping around the clouds, creating rainbows and whatever. But then some thunder clouds got pissed and shot you down to the earth, and so you have to try and climb your way up these waterfalls, which are basically crying clouds.
Yeah.
To get up there. Well,
that's what rain is, Craig.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's got a very strong, sort of Chinese Eastern theme to it. And basically, so you can jump with the fish and you can swim. You can press the X button to swim faster, but you have a certain amount of health or energy.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this when I started playing it, but because I'm climbing and then you jump to other waterfalls or other clouds, and not unlike Monsters Probably Stole My Princess, you can get combos by not coming back to the same waterfall, and if you do flips, then it adds to your combo meter, whatever. But I didn't realize that the scroll is rolling up behind you as you're going, and
I didn't see that. That's really
it totally
cool.
killed me like a dozen times or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's all on this vertical scroll. It rolls out. It's got an incredible style to it.
It looked amazing. The covers what kind of pulled me in.
Yeah.
And then the screenshots, I just I have to see this, because the screenshots don't do it justice. The only reason I said I got frustrated with it, because I just got frustrated with the gameplay. Those kind of games, I always get frustrated with it.
Yeah,
those
are challenging.
I tend to button smash.
Yes.
And then if there's a meter to where you can't do that, then I start to get frustrated because I can't get that out of my head.
So you're getting exhausted all the time.
Yeah. And then I die. But other than that, the style and the way it looks is fantastic.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to play the game, I guess is what it is.
I thought maybe the flipping button, which is B or something like that, the flipping button was a little sluggish to respond, in my opinion. And so I was often missing waterfalls because I couldn't do basically a double jump to get there. But yeah, it is a pretty cool game.
Yeah.
And only 80 points, and so
the whole intro to it I thought was fantastic.
Yes.
The whole little story with the cloud he's jealous because you've totally got this woman, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you.
and he spits you down.
You're like this little cool rainbow coil,
and he's still got a big old smile on his face.
Yeah. It looks really. It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Very cool stuff.
I got Neon Prime. It cost 80 points, and I would like to tell you who it's from, but I forgot to write it down. So I apologize to the developers.
We'll fix that in post, right?
Is Neon Prime the leader of the inert Gastabots?
Yes, the Gastobot. Because neon's an inert gas, isn't it?
We've had some really good ideas on the show. That's not one of them.
I know.
Gastabots.
Inert Gastabots.
Inert Gastabots, sorry.
That's about, it's a disclaimer on that
It's
one.
all one word.
Inert Gastabots.
You're going to fit that on a shirt.
That's even better.
It's got to wrap around.
It might have hyphens. I haven't decided.
That's better.
Let us know.
One word. That's a Scrabble word right there.
Because otherwise, you're just saying they just sit there.
Inert Gastabots.
They're inert Gastabots. That doesn't make that's not exciting. You're not going to push
not
toys with that. You know,
It'd be more accurate, though, if you're not playing with them,
that's
right?
true. Yeah.
All right. This is terrible.
Oh, so Neon Prime. It's 80 points.
I don't think it can live up to what we just made.
No, it's a total throwback shooter, a la like Space Invaders. It kind of meets Geometry Wars just by the way that the enemies are designed. It's
The
very,
neon.
very neon, very pointy, and triangles and things like that. Really, I was like kind of not impressed by it at the very beginning. Soundtrack was really cool. Having a lot of fun with it because the enemies are coming from top to bottom, and you can move around the screen left to right, up and down. I think you can't move all the way to the top, and you just constantly shoot. You can pick up power ups. Well, I picked up like 3 power ups, and then next thing you know, the screen went like weird, and then all of a sudden, I didn't have my power ups anymore. And I don't know if that happened. I think I just hit the end of the level, but then all of a sudden, I went to Space Invaders, and they all got in a row. And they were all coming down, ding, 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 ding. And I'm just shooting one shot.
Yeah.
And then when I died, I'm like, well, maybe they'll pass by me. Because I was like, well, I can sneak through them to pass by. No, you got to take them down like Space Invaders.
Yeah, so it changed up the game.
Yeah, and then it went back to the other screen, and you're still flying around shooting. I'm like, okay, that was a cool little mix-up. It was kind of like a boss level or like a, just to play. And then next thing you know, these guys started lining up on the left-hand side. And then it became a snake around the whole thing. So you're like in a square.
Yeah.
And some of them are shooting at you.
Yeah.
And then there's power-ups inside the square. It's like a snake going around you. And it really just right off the bat, I was like, this is really neat. Because it just kept changing up the gameplay.
Yeah.
And then the music was I thought the music was good because there'd be like, I don't know, like kind of almost like a scratching. And I don't know. It had my kind of feel to it. But
Awesome.
totally worth checking out. I wish I would have wrote the developer down. But we'll get it down.
It was $1, you say?
Yeah, it was only it was $1, and I totally worth just downloading to check it out.
That sounds good.
I was just like, well, I'll try it out, and I hated it at first, but it grew on me. So
the last indie game I have for this episode is Tobe's Vertical Adventure, which is actually a fairly old game. It came out last year, actually. I remember hearing about it, but I never got around to downloading it and playing it. And so it reminds me quite a bit of the kind of games that Arcado was putting out, and that sort of level of quality. It's $240, but it's got a lot of work put into it, and music and design, and it's got 16-bit style graphics. And basically, Tobe is sitting around playing video games too much, so his mom tells him to go out and have a real adventure, and so he goes down into caves. So it's all vertical, so you have to climb further and further down into these caves, looking for treasure and various things. And then once you find what you're looking for, then you have to get the fuck out of there, because the place is gonna like cave in on itself, and so you have to climb back, and the paths have changed a little bit. And so yeah, well, it's really cool. It's really cool. And so
Sounds like terrible parenting.
you know, or awesome.
go have a real adventure. Go into a cave,
And
fall down a well.
so there's you can climb these ropes, but you can also get these power ups. So basically, like, you can pick up a power up and like launch a rope to the ceiling and just climb up that to get to places, because there's these little animals or whatever you can pick up as bonus pickups, collectibles. Or another power up allows you to kind of float with some balloons for a short period of time, so that you can manipulate your falling. And it's really cool, really high quality in terms of graphics and gameplay and overall design. And if you like those old school platformers, definitely something that should be checking out. It's a little more pricey for the $240, but you can definitely see where the money goes.
Cool. I will check it out.
Yeah.
I promise.
Good. It's old.
I don't promise.
You'd have to look it up in T.
I will look it up in T. I will do what I can. Anybody else have any indie? We good?
I'm good.
That's it for me.
All right. XBLA.
XBLA.
Who wants to start that off?
Shall we start off with the earlier stuff, like Fancy Pants Adventures?
Sure.
What's up, Fancy Pants?
Because I didn't get to play that.
I played it.
As did I.
What do you guys think?
So it's a very fast-paced platformer, and is built all around momentum mostly, and moving, and going fast. It reminded me a little bit of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes, there you go.
Because you had to keep moving.
Yeah, I didn't. I was trying to think of what to describe the game because I was having a hard time. I think if I would have kept that actually while I was playing, that it was Sonic in my head, I would have probably done a lot better because whenever my character would move up, I would change my direction to up.
Yeah,
and that's not what you do.
No, you have to keep pushing to the side, like when he's sliding around curves.
Yeah, and that was the thing you didn't do in Sonic. You just kept it,
right.
I mean, there was a D-pad, so that threw me off right off the bat with it. I dig the style. I like that. I like the design. It's just a stick figure guy running around.
It is. The quality of the animation and stuff was cool. I don't know, I wasn't super wild about design. It was very hippie for me.
Yeah, I mean it's
hippie.
The baggy pants. And dude's got goofy hair.
Yeah,
it's
got kind of no, but there's like a big puffy top hat or whatever.
Yeah.
And
like a big toad hat.
There's a baby. There's a baby bonnet.
Yeah,
spiked hair.
It was okay. I think this was originally a Flash game or something.
Yeah, it was.
A free Flash game.
There was. Yeah, it's 2 games, and I think they're both of them
Combined.
collected for this release.
Yeah.
Are they playing Fish? Is that the soundtrack?
It's probably not too far off, actually.
Oh no, I'm out.
Not too far off. So it's built around momentum, and of course, as you try to stop, you'll slide. And I think that was one of the things that started frustrating me right off the bat, because you have those little signs that you have to stop and read.
Yeah.
And it'd be like, oh, look, there's a sign. Slide.
Yeah.
I guess I'll turn around and go read that sign. Slide. Son of a bitch. Ink, ink, ink. And so this game about momentum, there are multiple times where I'm like, a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then I move on. And
So what are these signs you have to read? Are they like telling you about game
It's the
stuff?
tutorial stuff.
Yeah.
You know how like that.
So maybe poorly implemented.
Yeah, I mean,
in the way that you move.
Exactly. I mean, because it's not about precision. Let me. It's not about like focused things.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to describe.
It'd be weird how there's some places I'd be stuck. Like if there was a loop and I was trying to get from point A to point B, essentially that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I'd get stuck and you'd hit the jump button, and sometimes the jump is kind of wonky where it will kick you in a weird direction.
Oh yeah.
And you have to point in those directions. It's a really control, like, you have to be precise. And
I was
I'm not
having
a
a tough time with the
fan of
controls,
that at all.
Well, you remember with Sonic the Hedgehog how, like, a lot of times the path would just lead you in a direction for a long period of time. That's probably because it's really hard to control when you're going that fast. Fancy Pants Adventures, they're a little more freeform, man. Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
Whatever, man.
You want to go over here?
Slide over here, man.
Jump up here?
We should have done the whole
collectibles are just swirls. Like drawn swirls that you pick up.
Let them be whatever you want, man. What do you see in the swirl?
Cinnamon roll, man.
And they got the spiders, and you just hop on. You have to hit them twice, but
dude, look out for the spiders, man.
Get them off me, man.
Get them off me, man. I got spiders on me.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's
I've never been high in my life.
I'm
sure you can tell by now.
It's too much of, like, I kept playing it, and then I think that was my problem. Is like I kept thinking this game can't be this like hard. I'm playing it wrong. Like I kept not to discourage people from playing the game, because it probably there's an audience out there for it.
Oh yeah,
and I'm not it, just because I get frustrated on that kind of stuff. Those little and I'm like I get mad, but
plus it had one of my pet peeves, which is tiny character on big screen.
That's what the screenshots looked to me. It looked like
it's roughly similar to like Super Meat Boy, and that was one of the problems I had with Super Meat Boy. Is for some odd reason I have a real hard time controlling things when it's that small. Like all of a sudden the angles are much more tight or something like that. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
but that's a personal thing.
Was there multiplayer? Is that like on?
Yes, there's a competitive four-player multiplayer or something like that because you get weapons later.
That would be a mess, I think. A lot of people sliding.
That might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Might be a good mess.
It just wasn't.
It'll be a mess.
It wasn't enough.
Was it $10? You guys remember?
Yeah, I believe that was 800 points. Yeah, not 80 points, 800 points.
Word.
I don't know. That wasn't the only XBLA. I'll jump into it, even though Craig bought it. But the only really XBLA game that really jumped out at me was Outland.
Outland. It was outlandish. Awesome.
That was 800 points. I had a very Shadow Complex feel from it, just because it's a side scroller and just the way it was so crisp and clear and it looked good. But it also has this the Castlevania Lord of Shadows element to it, where it's the red and the blue.
There's a strong puzzle element to it,
and that really pulled me in, like right off the bat, especially when you're going through the first couple levels. It's fun, but when you go back go back in time and you're doing this like old ancient tale of this guy, and he's able to switch on the fly between red and blue, and that was really cool going through some of those mazes because they'd switch it up, like you'd have to alternate. It was just like in that one boss battle, and I really liked it. The look was cool. Once you got a sword, that was awesome. I don't know. I'm really on the fence. I want to buy this. I think I want to buy this game. I don't know. I want to hear what you say.
I did buy it. No, I liked it a lot. And actually, Jeremy, you played it too, right?
I did play a little bit of it. I just played the demo.
Oh, okay.
And not even the full demo at that.
Oh, okay.
Time-wise.
So you failed.
I of course. What don't I fail at? I love the look. The only thing I succeed at is failing. Correct. Thank you. Dick face.
Well, I'm the silver lining. I gotta tell you.
You're the silver lining. That's what I was just thinking in my head. What is Sean? Oh, he's the silver lining.
To the shitstorm, right?
But you were saying, Jeremy.
I think the game looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's got that silhouette sort of look.
I love that art style that they're using.
Yeah.
And it's so fast.
In the jungle.
It's a lot faster and fluid a lot more fluid than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It flies sometimes.
Yeah. It's like a much more tighter. Listen to me. It's like a much tighter Fancy Pants Adventures, actually, in some respects. Because, that's the sort of thing that I think they're going for with that. But I really enjoy it in Outland.
And it was like this weird combination of like a platformer and a bullet hell game where like those bullets are just like everywhere, and so that it's like all I could see in some of those shots where it's like, you know, just a whole spray of bullets coming at you nonstop, and then they change up the colors with as far as like when you're having to change your colors. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I just haven't taken the time to. I'm probably going to purchase it, because it's totally up my alley with that kind of style.
Well, I've gotten to the second boss so far in the game, and I can tell you that the puzzle aspect, especially dealing with the colors, ramps the hell up in that game.
That worries me a tad.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe I'm making it sound too ominous or something. There were a couple screens where I'm like, holy shit, there is red and blue happening at the same time through here. And you really have to kind of like switch back and forth quickly and, you know, really plan out a maneuver to get through like just this one little area.
See, what makes me think about this is, you know, Sean mentioned the Castlevania Lord of Shadows, and there was a particular part at the end of that game where you were having to switch back and forth between the powers, like at certain, like back and forth at certain times, and that was hurting my brain enough. So I worry about this kind of thing where if I'm doing it again for like long periods of time, if it's gonna
it's all right. I mean, most of the time it's okay. There are just those times where it's a bullet hell essentially is what it looks like, and so you have to get across that and try to take as little damage as possible. And
I guess we should explain, but maybe it's obvious at this point that, you know, if you're the same color as the bullet, then you're not taking the damage.
Yeah, you are not hurt by that.
I never.
But you have to be the opposite color of enemies in order to damage them. Yeah, although they can still run into you and hurt you physically. So, but yeah, I like it a lot, and actually, it may be partially because of the silhouette style or the sort of tropical theme that you start off with early. But I had strong reminiscence of Limbo.
Yeah,
and also just kind of how it's well, it does kind of explain. It does give you a story, but it's a very cryptic sort of story, and that continues on throughout as well. And there are tons of abilities. I don't know if you guys checked like the menu
I didn't.
screen.
I assume that's what you get with that money that you unlock abilities.
You can purchase upgrades of like health, and later you get like this power smash ability. But there are additional abilities that you just find whenever you get to these areas. So yeah, I think right now I have the ability to do like a power slide. I have to jump up and smash things down, and switch between the two colors right now. And then using Y button for like the super overhead smash that I have to power back up again then over time. And that's like maybe half of them at most of all the abilities in there. So that's really cool. And yeah, I like it a lot. Now, if you're going to be achievement hunting, I'm going to warn you. Here's my little tip for everyone. There's one that says something like kill 20 consecutive enemies while you only have 1 health, and that doesn't seem so bad, right?
Yeah.
And actually, my problem wasn't that I was dying, because I started doing that right away. I'm like, oh, well, I'll just get that out of the way right away.
Yeah.
It's that it throws hearts at you like nobody's business at the beginning. It really keeps you alive. Now that's
the first thing I was thinking.
That trails off later.
Like it's going to be hard to not heal yourself because they were all over it.
It is, yeah, in the beginning, and so I would recommend waiting until you get like the light spirit ability, because then you're not going to get hit by bullets either, because all those bullets are blue.
Yeah,
but
well, also, I guess it does help that you can destroy the hearts.
Yes, so I liked that.
I love that
because you get a ton more. You almost get more coins out of the hearts than you do
because you can instead of collecting the heart, or if you're full, you can't pick it up, so you can destroy them and then they turn into coins.
That is so.
And I love that
cool
because
of any game.
There's so many of those games like that where it's like you have full health, but then you get the health and there's nothing you can do with it.
Your power up has been wasted. Essentially.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too a lot. But yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna spend like half this game at 1 health because I'd be like, all right, I've killed like 11 dudes, and then all of a sudden I'd hit somebody and like this heart would fall on me. I'm like, son of a bitch,
that sucks.
And then a heart shield.
It's even worse that you don't die. You just get health.
I know. But and the boss battles are pretty cool too. Cool. They're very epic. They're the first boss is this golem guy, and he's gigantic, and now I'm fighting this priestess woman or something, and there's lots of stuff going on, and the color changing ability is coming into play, but it doesn't really feel overwhelming because
cool.
And I think a big part of that is because it's got the silhouette style and then just the highlights, and so it's pretty easy to tell. I mean, it's pretty easy to match things. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like in Lord of Shadows where you just have small indicators of what ability you have, and you're switching back and forth. It's pretty much telegraphing to you, hey, this is what's going on right now.
It's red, be red.
Yeah, exactly. Or blue.
It's blue, be blue.
So
I really liked just the animation of it, especially like the enemies that you would go after, especially like the little bugs that crawl out of the ground, and then
the one-eyed spider things.
Yeah, and they'll look around, like they'll look over a corner, like over a ledge, and I think that's really like a little nice touch. Like that game has all these little touches that make it just really like, I don't know, like pop.
It's the animation that really reminded me of Limbo, and just that sort of environment. How it's got sort of a living environment for itself.
Yeah, I'm definitely probably.
It's got co-op too.
Ooh. Yeah, you can do the whole game in co-op
campaign.
That's really cool.
That was awesome.
So yeah,
that's another $10 one.
800 points. That's not bad at all, really.
It's a lot of fun.
Not nowadays.
It's worth it. Yeah. It's worth it. I think.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet.
The last game I have for this episode is NIN²-JUMP or NIN²-JUMP, depending on how you want to read it. And so this is another platformer. Hey, look at that!
Yay!
Yeah. And it sells for 400 points. It's only $5, and I think I heard somewhere that it kind of goes to contribute to Japan or something, but I couldn't confirm that. I think I saw that in the comments section once, and I'm like,
no, you know what? I did see that too.
And I'm like, really? And I tried to find validation for that, but I
think proceeds of it go to Japan relief. I think through a certain time.
Yeah, something like that.
Date.
Yeah. But it's very fast-paced action, and we've talked about several games that this reminds me of, and a lot of them were in the indie marketplace.
This to me, honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, it looks like an indie game to me.
I thought it was an indie game.
Yeah, it looks like it to me. I don't know why. I think it's because it's blurry. There's like it doesn't look clear at all.
It's not supposed to, because it's doing a so basically it's doing it.
Yeah,
it's doing platforming through puppet theater, and the puppet theater works that it has a piece of paper in front that has like basically the background on there, and then the puppets are being moved
via
in the background, via stick.
The menus and everything even looked like blurry to me.
Oh, really?
There's just something weird about it graphically that doesn't look like a polished XBLA game. And I get that it's not supposed to be polished, but it looks like an indie game to me. Not that that's a we do love indie games though too. So
no, we do. No.
There's a separation usually, and that's kind of the feeling that I got from it. So
yeah, no, I don't. I mean, the look, the polish that is on there reminded me of Wet. I mean, that was what I was really reminded of. Now, I also watched a video that I think has more. Because I played this, I watched that video, I'm like, oh, this looks really cool. And then I played it, and I'm like, well, it's kind of bare bones.
Yeah.
It felt very bare bones. And the video had like little animation sequences, and it had this great startup with the cave logo that was mimicking the old Golden Harvest movie logo from Kung Fu movies. And had like a whole startup for this, theater sort of thing. And actually, I thought it was supposed to be more of a grindhouse film necessarily than like a children's theater or whatever. And it felt more like a children's theater when I was
feels like
playing.
a children's until you die, and then like your head gets decapitated and there's blood everywhere, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, you die. I got ripped in straight in half.
It's got that Bayonetta. You don't know what to expect angle to it. So.
I totally got ripped in half.
Yeah,
and so one half was just blood spraying, and the other half was my body. And then I'm like, well, that was kind of gruesome. And then the other time I died, I like that about it is like different death scenes, because then I lost my head once, and then the other time it's just. I was all these pieces flying, and it's just blood, and I was like, and then all these, and
that's the problem is everybody sounds like a kid.
Yeah,
too, so you're like, what kind of kid play is this?
Yeah, but I don't know. I was enjoying it. I'm an idiot because I thought this was an indie game when I was going through my games that I downloaded. I thought it was an indie game. I didn't even check to see. And I'm like, oh, this is 80 points, because I thought it was 80 points. It's 800, I think it is. Yeah.
No, it's
400.
It's $5. It's $5. So I was just playing it, and I really enjoyed it, but I got frustrated towards this one part because I kept hitting spikes, and I'm just like,
and it's do the best time and grab the most scrolls and beat up the most enemies sort of thing, and then at the end it gives you your score. Go for the S rank always, that you get with a lot of Japanese games, and it's very sensory overload, and I think that's its point.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's one of the things that it's trying to do as an element of charm, and I think it's fun, but at the same time, I don't know. I was wondering if maybe the demo had more things cut out than just limited levels or something.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
Based on the videos that I had seen,
the sensory overload was too much for me.
Was it?
And I normally like that kind of stuff, like the Katamari kind of thing, where just everything's going on and there's noise and. Something about this game, I don't know if it was because it felt so constricted because you were in such a small area.
It does have
really
a very
close,
claustrophobic feel to it. Yeah.
And so that's on top of, and that's a subliminal kind of thing where it's like you don't really realize it at first. That's part of the problem. And then you have that on top of everybody screaming and making noise and all these kids yapping or people yapping.
Yeah.
And this all the sound effects and everything else that's going on, and you start using your abilities, and you hit the bumper button to do your attack, which sends out this and then it basically kind of makes you invincible.
Yeah.
So anything you run into dies.
Yeah.
And then when you turn it off, they kind of get shot out from you. But then you also have this. I can't remember what you were using to grab on.
Yeah, essentially like a grappling hook. Of
so you would use that to grab onto the walls or to these anchors, and it would fling you in another direction or in that direction. And there was just so much going on, and it was so claustrophobic, like you said, Craig, and all this noise, and I was like, "Shut up! Everything just stop." For a second, but then it wouldn't. It just kept going and going, and I was like, "I'm done." I couldn't do it.
It was later. I really enjoyed the first couple levels, but it wasn't until later when a lot more birds were showing up, and then, like you said, I felt it got to the point where I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or if I was actually taking damage, and it's too bad. I really like the look of it.
Same here.
Yeah. It reminded me of that Niji, just in that whole like the stylized and
Everybody was just yelling at me. It felt like. Stop yelling at me.
Clean your room.
I get enough of that every day. I don't need it in games. Everybody yelling at me.
All right. Any other XBLA?
I've just got some, I guess, /DLC, or if we want to move on to that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because I got some Pinball FX.
Oh, yeah.
Mars table that came out.
Awesome.
That was originally for the PS3, but has now been ported over to the Xbox as well. It is 240 points. They have upped the price of the tables. They used to be 200 points, 250. Now they are $3.
They got you hooked now.
50 cents.
Now it's going to cost.
Come on, man. You need quality costs. 50 cents. It's not a problem. Seriously. Is it?
No.
Who's buying these tables?
Why do you want these people to be fired? Why do you want them to be downsized, Jeremy?
Exactly. I don't. That's why I'm happy with the 250. I'm fine with it. I mean, the $3.
You're like, keep making tables.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fine with it. The table for me, Marvel is still my like high watermark for everything that they've done for FX.
Yeah.
This is better than a lot of their other tables, but is still under the Marvel tables for me. There's a lot going on with it. There's some really fun modes. It looks really like great. Like the lighting, the sound effects, that stuff's all involved. There's a lot of things moving around on the board. That becomes a problem for me in some of the aspects. I know the 3D graphics and animation on some of the Marvel tables got some complaints for some people about blocking things that were going on the table.
Yeah.
I never really had that problem with the Marvel, but I am having it with this one. There's like a ship that flies in, and sometimes it hovers around, and sometimes that goes like right in the path of where the ball's at. And I'm like, well, that helps me none whatsoever. Thank you. But
It's supposed to not help.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's supposed to screw you up. It's just like it's supposed to fly in and then fly out, because you put balls in it and then it flies away or whatever. But, there's lots of those little bonus modes going on. The 3D graphic thing was really the only problem I had, aside from there's a couple of sound effects that go off every once in a while and they don't stop. And there's like these like horns or these buzzer things that were going off, and I seem to remember them going off for like a minute at a time, and I was just like, shut up.
Wow.
But other than that, I don't know if it was a certain mode I was in or something I activated or something I needed to do that I wasn't getting done.
Or brain damage.
Or if it's just that I took... Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. It might be my post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD that I have. I remember now.
You know what you should do is get like an arcade soundtrack. Like the sounds from the arcade, and then just play that so you feel like you're in the arcade. Like
when you're playing pinball,
all the back.
Idea.
Why
you
don't
go
they
in
have
and get
that?
ambient sounds?
Does anybody have like ambient, like white noise, but it would be arcade?
Well, there's no goddamn arcades.
You mean like
anymore,
those nature sound CDs?
Yeah,
that
but it
people
would be
play when
just
they go to sleep?
arcade. Oh, kind of like what happens in Game Room. One of my favorite things about returning to Game Room is the sound that it makes. Like when you're walking around the arcade of Game Room.
I wouldn't know because I haven't been in there.
That's what I'm saying. Go just for a day and record it for me.
Day?
Go and record it for me.
Why don't you do it?
Because you have technology.
We all have technology, Sean.
But that'd be sweet, and then I could listen to it, and I'd feel like I'm at the arcade playing pinball. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, back to Mars.
I guess.
I don't know. There's really not much else to say.
Get your ass back to Mars.
I liked it. Yeah. That's what this show should be called. I like the table. It's definitely a step above some of their other just the regular, definitely a step above the first generation Pinball FX tables. It's probably in line with some of the FX2, maybe a little better, but certainly not beating the Marvel ones for me as of yet. But I don't know, it's fun. It seems like a mid-range scoring table, like 30 to 100 million, somewhere in there. Some of those other ones are higher.
They need more licensed stuff. I'm telling you, they got me if they bring in more licensed
Fantastic
stuff.
Four.
Okay. There.
Why did you
see
be such
that?
a Marvel fanboy?
Huh?
I know, that's all me, right? I'm just a Marvel fanboy. They're doing Fantastic Four table in a couple weeks.
Nice.
And
Cool.
it looks awesome.
And that's, I mean, if they did stuff like that, Dukes of Hazzard.
I'm just imagining somebody like, they should have 4 individual tables.
Why can't the Thing get his own? Lame.
They should have one for Human Torch. R.I.P.
Oh, spoiler.
Where's
Not
Jessica
at all.
Alba?
Oh.
Jessica Alba table. No, it's terrible. So I'm looking forward to that too. We'll talk about that in a couple weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
I got some DLC as well. The Lost Hobo King for stacking from Double
I love
Fine.
the name of that.
Yeah.
The Lost Hobo King.
Yes. It sells for 400 points. It's $5. and adds yet another adventure, which happens after the story. Now, they don't really spoil the story, so if you haven't finished stacking and you want to play the DLC, that's fine. They do make suggestions, but they're all things that you would assume anyway based on how a video game works.
I assume it spoils the fact that Charlie didn't die.
Right.
Spoiler. The main character, who's a child, doesn't die in the first game.
Exactly. In a ostensibly family-friendly game. Where
way to ruin it all.
Where he's your protagonist through the entire thing.
He doesn't die.
Surprising. Anyway,
I'm not buying this game now.
So
you guys spoiled it all for
Charlie's hobo friend recruits him to help.
This sounds terrible, by the way.
Whatever.
I have a hobo friend. I think we talked about this at the beginning with Sean.
Yeah, exactly.
He lured him into the car.
Now I'm totally going back on what I said about not buying
Sean
the
doesn't
game.
have an auto gyro though. I mean, I would totally get an auto gyro with a hobo.
It's not called an auto gyro.
That's not what he calls it, but it's the same kind of thing, I think.
Anyway,
It's called a hero.
No.
Can I get back to the game?
Yes. Manual gyro.
Charlie's been ignoring that. Charlie's been recruited to help them out because they the hobo people think they have found the lost kingdom of Camelfoot, which is Camelot. You know, it's a Camelot parody. Yes. But they're not quite sure, and they need to basically reforge the old crown of the Hobo King, which was lost. And to do that, they need to find the 3 legendary hobo blacksmiths. And so that's Charlie's job. And so, yeah, it adds a new area, which is this sort of seaside port area. And you have 3 main challenges to do with like a total of 12 different solutions for all of them. There are 14 additional characters and I think 14 new hijinks as well.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. It's got the same level of humor and sweetness and just graphic quality and design that the regular stacking game has. And you know, it's got like my review of the DLC for Ilo Milo, where it's like, you know, if you liked that stuff, then it's a no-brainer.
Exactly.
I mean, you should be playing it.
I know. Stop getting on me about it. All right. I understand.
Now there aren't a ton of new types of characters. There are a few new types of generic characters sitting around, and then there are the 14 unique characters as well, which actually makes some of the hijinks a little bit easier because you have to. There's only a small pool of who you're going to pick from.
Yeah.
There is. I don't know if this is really a spoiler, but maybe I should spoil this for you. But one of the unique characters appears to be a furry.
Oh no!
It's a dude in
a dude in
a dude in a panda suit, and at first you're like, oh, it's a dude in a panda suit, but then you can hop inside him. I know.
Right.
I was trying to think of a different way, but really there's not.
Hop is probably
you
the
can
best way
control
you could go.
him. You can control him
From
later.
inside.
And his special ability is to sniff people's butts.
Okay, see, but you remember our conversation before when I said that there's a lot of like weird adult things going on with this game.
And kids are going to be like, that's hilarious. He's smelling people's butts. And adults, you're going to be like, that's really fucking creepy.
I've seen that happen at conventions. It's terrible. Allegedly.
But it is also hilarious. I will admit it is hilarious. I'm like, what the fuck? Now, so I liked it a lot. I will admit I finished the story in under an hour. I had it over 100%. Over 100%. I had 100% complete in about 45 minutes after that.
You hacked that game.
Exactly. And that was mostly because I was trying my best not to use hints because since there was a limited number of characters to use, it was a little bit easier for me to figure things out.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't like super easy. I had to really kind of think about some of them, but it was fun to do that as just sort of a mental challenge. And so if you're the kind of person who measures, the worth of a game in terms of quantity and the amount of time, then I will admit I finished the whole thing in under 2 hours. But quality-wise, it's completely at par with the rest of stacking, and like I said, I had a ton of fun with it, and I was super excited about it, and I want more. I'm looking for, if they have another one about the same size for the same price, I'm still going to buy it.
Right.
Cool.
I want to check it out.
Yeah.
I will do that. someday. I promise.
The furry.
Speaking about someday, you did do something.
I did finally. Dead Rising 2 Case Zero.
Yes.
I finally got it. And now I might move me towards opening my unopened copy of Dead Rising 2 someday.
Yay! Darn, I was going to start trying to borrow that from you.
Sorry. You probably still have time. Don't worry. I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I didn't play too much of it. I got it this week because it was on sale.
Right.
And
Now, did you play the demo when it first came out? I can't remember.
didn't.
Okay, I didn't think so.
However, I went and bought the game this week since it was on sale.
Yeah.
And it immediately unlocked. So I still had the demo sitting on my hard drive. I just never went through and deleted it back when we talked about it like 6 months ago or whatever.
That's awesome, though. That's funny.
Yeah, it was 6 months ago.
True to form, I'm like, oh, well, this will queue up. And it was like, done. I'm like, what? Like, I must have had that sitting there. What a tard.
Awesome.
But of course, I love Dead Rising 2 enough to actually, seek out the game afterwards.
Right.
And that was a huge improvement for me over the first Dead Rising.
Yeah.
And so I know you guys were all up about how Case Zero was awesome or it was fun.
Very.
Good lead up. So I started it. I got to a point where I died and I was mad and I stopped playing it because I didn't expect to and I didn't save right before that.
Yeah, it's a little hard to get back into that
I'm not too far
hole.
back. I'm only
Sure.
probably 10 minutes. It's just me running and doing one thing and coming back.
Yeah.
But I was just irritated.
You got to
every time.
get into the habit of the regular potty breaks.
And right, to save in the bathroom.
Yes.
Not a commentary on me as a person so much, just to clarify.
Take it out however you want.
My problem that I had, too, is that in Dead Rising 2, I was kind of avoiding the maniacs
Yeah.
because they're annoying to me, and some of those fights are really near impossible, in my opinion. Like, unless you're doing I don't know. You have to figure out how to beat the people.
Yeah.
And so this one seemed like it wasn't a choice.
Well, I mean, there is a bit of a choice for something. I guess there is that one maniac.
Well, the one
you pretty much
you
have to
have-
fight.
you have to
fight him. Yeah.
And that's where I was at. And I was like, F this noise.
Yeah. But he's not bad.
He's not that bad.
He's really.
He was bad when I faced
He's
him.
He's a lot more.
But maybe
talk.
I was stupid.
Yeah. You
You just have to equip yourself with a cool weapon.
Yeah. You change your gameplay up, and
That's true.
It's pretty easy.
Probably just not a bat like I was using.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, you want something more substantial than that.
I'm not very smart.
And plus, you get to know where like the food is around that area where you're fighting him. Because I mean, it wasn't an easy battle.
Yeah, like the first 2 times, and then I was about to the point where I was like so annoyed. But then like the third, it was like duh. You know, it's not too bad.
I don't know what really I've had to add that you guys didn't talk about when we originally talked about the game back
Other than
before,
you
but
killed the guys with the handlebars.
I did.
You're a killer. Not saving people.
I didn't save them because I couldn't find the weapon store. They're like, "Oh, I'll trade this for a broadsword," and I swear, okay, so
The weapon store took me a while to get into.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll go
fell
get it.
into it.
And I'm like, "Where's it
Literally.
at?"
I'm sure
And
you
Literally,
Oh yeah.
I ran around and I had already wasted some time beforehand, so now my time was kind of dwindling down
Right,
where I need to get my girl her Valtrex, and so I was like running around and.
My girl is in the Macaulay Culkin.
and the Valtrex.
Yeah, for herpes, remember?
Yeah, I know.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah. I remember now.
I had to go get my prescription filled. Wait,
Anyway.
what?
So I was running around, and I'm like, okay, I'll
Are
find
you
this.
informing the kids of this?
I'll find the super broadsword. So then I can save these people too, and it's like a benefit because I assume that counts as like rescuing these dudes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll find it. I run around. I'm like, I'm getting low on time. I'm like, fuck it. And I went back and I beat the shit out of him with a bat with nails in it. And then the other guy tagged me, so I beat him up too, and I killed them all. And then I took the handlebars and I just went back and did it that way.
Yeah. I mean,
It still works.
I'm like, I'll just go back.
That's-
I'm like, I'm going to finish the game this time, and then build the bike, save the girl, get out of there, and then I'll go through it again and like actually save the people and stuff.
right.
So-
And that's one of the really nice things of it being so short.
Yes.
Because you can't do everything the first time. You're going to need to figure things out, and you're going to run low on time, and you're just going to be like, well, fuck it. I have to, I have a time deadline going on here. I didn't realize you were here. If I realized, I would do better, but sorry, here's my bat.
And it was really funny because I had that total like moment in my brain where I was like, I started attacking the guy, and I'm like, this is shit I got to do for my daughter.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I totally like said that out loud in my head, where I was like, you know, at least I didn't talk to myself in the room, but I felt bad because I wanted to save the guys, but I'm like, I tried, dude. I couldn't find the broadsword. If you're not going to give it to me, then fuck you. I'm killing you.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the nice things of it. I was doing that sort of stuff all the time. Yeah.
When I went back to save everybody to get that thing done, and there's some groups that it's just like I got pissed. I was like, you guys, I'm ready to leave. You need to shut up, and I'm done with you. But that's what I loved about that game is like, especially when you get those like the multiple people behind you.
Yeah,
and if they were doing well with weapons, some of them do really.
I
well
liked
with
arming
weapons.
those women in the bowling alley with bowling balls.
Yeah,
they would fuck shit up with those bowling balls.
Yeah. So,
But they wouldn't shut up.
No, they wouldn't shut up.
Jesus.
But it's not that far.
I did save them. I did save
That's
those.
good.
those were the ones I was talking about because it's just like I'm not leaving without Jenny.
Oh yeah, that pissed me. I'm like,
not leaving.
seriously.
OMG.
Oh, gee, what the heck's going on? It's like, shut up.
But yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
And I get to carry you. Awesome.
And it was a steal of $5, so the today or this week being $2.50 was even dumber.
Oh, I forgot the original was $5. I was
Nah.
thinking you were saying that the discount was $5.
I feel like I got ripped off with my Unbound
Paid
Saga now.
$2.50. That's why I was asking. That's why I was asking you about the other, because that's on sale too. I don't know if it's still going on today. Maybe. I think they're Tuesday to Tuesday, so it might still be going.
Yeah, it might be.
But that's half off too, so it's $5 instead of 10 or whatever. So would you recommend it for $5? Knowing that I hate that dude.
I can't quite remember.
Wes?
Well, you won't want to play it right now because it's going to be spoilery.
Yeah, I know, but if I buy it now, it'll be on sale. I probably won't play it later either.
Wes just follows you around. You don't control West, so you can beat him up if you want.
All right, I'm in. Does it play like Zero? I mean, is it that kind of deal where you're in a smaller area?
Yeah, it's a smaller area. Yeah. But
Okay.
this is more like building.
Okay.
Because
I didn't play it.
oh, you didn't play it.
No.
Yeah. I
All
think,
right.
Yeah, you're breaking into some
I will look
facility or
into it.
something.
I'm going to check it out too.
But I don't want to spoil the story.
$5. Hopefully
Well,
maybe it's still
just-
on.
Play like the first 30 seconds. I don't know, man. It will spoil. I mean, yeah, it has a strong
I'll buy it on
potential
sale
to,
and then
to
wait.
spoil. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I do with everything else. How's that Mass
Awesome.
Effect DLC going? Oh yeah, that's right. I bought it at Christmas. I haven't played any
I
of
haven't
it.
played that
Woo!
either. Yeah, me either.
I'll always fall on Lost and Damned or whatever it is.
Oh, shut up.
I mean, I'll always go to that one.
He'll always lord that over your
Still
head.
have never played that. What a retard.
You have to play. The fact that I've played it and finished it and you haven't is just.
How have I not played that or the Ballad of Gay Tony? What is wrong with me?
Oh, I need to go back
I
and
hate
play. I
myself.
need to go back and play Ballad of Gay Tony.
I do. I hate myself so much.
That was when my Xbox was dying, and I went and rented it.
Yeah,
'cause I was
yeah.
going to
I
play it on
remember it,
disc,
yeah.
and I got like halfway through it, and I
Yeah.
really liked that story.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I think that's why we
Damn
don't
it.
get hate mail like very often.
Why? Because people
Because
feel
they're
sorry
they're
for us?
afraid they're going to push you over the edge.
No,
and you
because there's
commit
nothing they can
suicide.
do that we don't do to ourselves already like worse.
True.
It's like, what's somebody going to say? Well, like, you're an idiot for doing this. And I'll be like, I know.
And they're like, God.
I hate myself. Dude.
OMG, shut up.
They're totally listening to this show, and they were like writing a freaking hate mail, and then we rip on each other. They're like, oh, delete.
And then we already say everything
yeah,
they want
we're
to
like,
say.
never mind, delete.
We hate ourselves.
Save it.
But all the fun is doing it. Shall we move on to some disc games
Or
then?
Gears 3 beta.
Oh, Gears 3 beta.
Sure.
Yeah, let's hit the
finish
beta
some
first.
Of that.
Yeah.
We don't
I'd
wanna,
love to hear about
we
it.
don't want to end on that.
Don't we?
Well, I mean, I don't think so.
I haven't gotten to play, so tell us about it, special one.
I've had a lot of fun with it. Right off the bat, it was only 2 maps, so it got a little old at first.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of, let's get to this level so I can open this, blah, blah, blah. I want new levels and play new things. And
You weren't worried about the unlocks?
not really. Not too bad.
But you got to unlock that shit now, and it'll be available for you in Gears 3.
I know. And maybe I'll barrel through it, but
Yeah.
I hate playing 2 maps over and over and over again. But there's 2 more new ones, so now there's 4. So
Oh, they're
I feel
throwing
a
out
lot
stuff.
better. Yeah,
Okay.
I played a little bit more last night and really enjoy the maps. Love the looks. There's like a trench one, which is really cool, and then like this foghorn kicks in, and then it gets all dusty, and it really amps it up.
So it's Silent Hill.
A little bit, yeah, exactly. It's like, and then next thing you know, it gets dark.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then Pyramid Head comes out of the mist. And
No, because then I'd stop playing the
Kills
game. Yep.
I'd be in if it's a Pyramid Head.
Pyramid Head and meat shirts. Nope.
But you would have your chainsaw gun.
I don't care. I'd run away still. I don't know. If you put Silent Hill in any of my games, then I'm done.
I always hated Pyramid Head like killed himself. Is like the most disturbing thing ever. Like when they would like
Spoiler.
I know, spoiler from that game from 20 years ago. But like you get him beat down and then he would just like impale himself with his head on that thing, and that was like so disturbing to me.
Because it was a disturbing game. And people
anyway.
shouldn't play that
Sorry.
stuff.
There's no Pyramid Heading.
Instead, they should be chainsawing each other,
Yes.
right? Okay, so tell us.
Exactly, because they're people. And Locust. And then you got like this the football field type thing, the smack ball or dodgeball or whatever it's called.
I saw the football pad stuff. What's that about?
That's Cole, the Cole train. It's all he was
baby.
he was
boy.
the football he was a football player. He was the star, man.
Okay.
And so you get to play in one of the old
I swear to God,
stadiums.
if you talk shit about Cole,
I know.
we're done.
And he
It's a rap.
and it's an awesome rap actually. But I like that
is a
one.
rap.
I like that one because
Oh, come on.
they throw in some, like some hazards in the scoreboard. You can shoot it so it falls down on people.
Nice.
Like they're picking up the torque bow, which almost happened to me because I'm like, torque bow! And then I had to roll out of it because someone's like, get out of the way.
So does it seem like they're picking up some stuff maybe from Bulletstorm?
A little bit. And to be honest with you, it looks a lot like Bulletstorm. The guys aren't as chunky. Felix has lost some of his blockiness. Dom's a jerk.
Felix?
Or Felix
The cat?
Faust or whatever his name
Phoenix?
is. Phoenix Faust or whatever his name is. Cole looks awesome, of course. And then they had that one. There's a checkout, which is kind of like a supermarket.
Yeah.
Which I like that one. And then there's another one which like almost like it reminds me of Assassin's Creed. It's like bright and you're in these.
It's in Venice.
It looks kind of like the same type of thing where there's all these like nice pillars. It's very good architecture. It's very bright. I really like the polish of the game.
Good for them.
But the problem I had was the gameplay kind of changed up a bit. There's some new weapons, of course, but just all around like game wise, playing. I like it.
Do you play with your feet now?
No, but I feel a little bit like it. I feel like we're all on the same like level.
Okay.
Because they've added
what
some new
changed?
things into it. There's some recoil to some of the things now.
Okay.
A little bit more like you have to press down a button to pick stuff up now. You can't pick it just by running by it and just hitting the button. You have to hold it to like pick it up. Which is kind of cool because I like that I hated when I was going to switch out a weapon and then next thing you know I'm kept picking up the weapon I dropped type of thing.
Yeah.
But they kind of changed those up a little bit. I like some of especially like when you die, you can change your weapons on the fly, which I like. You can switch between the hammer burst or the whatever weapon you have. You can switch your loadout or whatever they call it. They have this awesome overhead map which actually shows people moving around.
Nice.
When you're dead, you can go to that, and it's just a map of the area which shows you where all your weapons are at, and then it actually shows the little blues and red dots. Like Team Deathmatch is a little bit different, unless I'm just not understanding. I thought Team Deathmatch was always the same, but you have a certain amount of guys, and then once you get respawns, it's not like you kill the 5 guys and it's done.
Okay.
It's you got a group of respawns until you get to the final, and then there's like 5 guys left after you get your respawns. I really like that. I really I've always hated the respawning about games because there is some problems in this with you can get to the person's starting area, but they'll flip them. So then you start on the other side if that side is getting hammered big time. And I always hated that about multiplayer fighting games like that, gun games, because people just sitting in your your spawns and just killing you. And now they kind of switch up the spawning, which I thought was really cool.
That's good.
I really like it. The only problem I have is the close range weapons. It seems like they've amped them up a bit. They've got a sawed off shotgun, which is just stupid. It's you're gone. You're done. Yeah. And I mean, the shotty used to be,
but it's super close range, right?
Yeah. But the problem I have is like the recoil on some, because you should just sit back with your Lancer from a long way away and take people down. It kind of recoils up, and you've got to.
Good.
I mean, they've changed this game to where you can't do all the duck
Because
and covers.
in my opinion, like with Gears 2, that change to the Lancer was good as far as it slowed people down.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just they couldn't just shoddy rush you, you know?
Exactly.
While you're sitting there Lancering them and you can't stop them. So they would actually be slowed down. But then it almost became where the Lancer was too powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you could get totally just decimated by 2 Lancers and you wouldn't be able to even move.
Yep.
So that's awesome to hear.
It has
that they at least move and have to readjust.
Yep, and you've got it. And I've always had that problem just aiming anyway.
Yeah.
But I really like the fact that someone else is having the recoil, so they're already having the
You're on
problem
the same
I already
footing
have.
now.
Yeah. Once they learn that, then I'll suck. But until then, awesome. But I had a lot of fun with it. I really loved the look, especially like the only. Like, they have new skins, like, weekly, like, when you play.
Okay.
So you can get, like, a fire skin for your Lancer or a fire skin for your Hammer Burst. I thought that was really neat, a nice touch to bring you into play. But if they change up the maps and keep them coming, I don't know if they have another couple maps slated. I know they're going to change up next week for some
And they're
other...
doing the different play styles that they're adding in, right?
Yeah.
Modes.
Yep. And I really liked the menus and the tracking are fantastic. They have this new ribbon, these ribbons. They had the medals again, but they have medals and ribbons, and those are really cool because, like, I'll get ribbons for assists because I assist a lot because that's all I do. And I thought that was awesome. Like active reloads, all that stuff is constantly on the screen.
Yeah.
The same stuff it's gotten better.
Awesome.
And I really had a lot of fun with it, and I'm enjoying the multiplayer. I can't wait for the game though. I mean, just
It's a while yet.
I know, but just by the look of just by the look that they got going on and the different worlds and how the people look and some of the weapons they've got like retro Lancers and like because you're having to change like you're using what you have around you essentially,
right?
And some of those are crazy because there's this bayonet and it's like it's your melee, but you run with the bayonet. So you hit your melee and your guy just runs. And then if you hit him, you hit him. But if they can block it too, which I thought was really cool. Like if you run out of steam towards the end of the run, they can just block it and then you get bounced back. Or if you're right next to them and then do it, you just lift them up with the bayonet. And
nice.
Graphic wise, it's fantastic. I had a lot of fun.
Do you have to play in mass like with everybody, or can you set up like your own thing with bots?
I've had
beta?
Like last night I was playing in a full room and I was playing with a friend and we got down to 2 against 2 and then it was 2 against 1, but it was the rest were all bots.
But can you set that up yourself?
I believe you can.
Okay.
But you know me, I don't do that shit.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm asking you questions that you can't answer.
Exactly. You're like, I always love when we play. You're like, oh, you want to play some Gears? I'm like, set it up.
I was also thinking, how long does the beta go? But then I knew not to ask you.
4 weeks, isn't it?
Is it?
I thought it was 4 weeks. I thought it was 4 weeks for the whatchamacallit dudes.
The Bulletstorm
dudes. Or maybe
and then 3 weeks for the beta.
3 weeks
for the pre-order people.
Yep. But yeah, I would like to. I'm up to 20 matches right now, so I'm only 30 away from Cole. I do want to unlock his skin, his football player skin.
I'm going to look into pre-ordering it so I can get the code and do some betaing.
I liked it a lot.
Cool,
especially that like those 2 new maps, like the trench and the one that's outside, that looks kind of like Venice a little bit in that sense. Or yeah, I really like those.
Cool,
but yeah,
that it for DLC, XBLA,
yeah, I think so.
Blah blah
blah.
No demos. Nobody check out Connectimals.
Yeah, it's all been Connect demos lately.
Yeah,
that's going to change this week. Actually,
it is
very exciting.
Red Faction
Armageddon demo comes out, and Lego Pirates of the Caribbean comes out.
I saw those Lego sets.
Yeah,
the Pirates ones.
For the new movie?
Yeah.
You like them?
Nice.
Awesome. I got some new packs. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just going to segue into the Lego talk here.
Is it the Lego cast?
Yeah, I got those the single figures.
Yeah.
Little geisha.
Yeah.
And then a little, what do you call those? Musketeer guy. And
nice.
They fight now.
That's not really the challenge, really, for the
She's got a fan. It's totally like the fan that, what's her name from Katana has. She's like, or Melina.
Speaking of which, let's talk about some Mortal Kombat.
See how I did that?
Or do we have to yell it?
Mortal Kombat!
All right, that counts. Is there a way to play that music every time we mention Mortal Kombat?
No.
Oh,
No.
come on.
Sadly,
You're such a liar.
Sadly, that technology has been lost to the ages.
That stuff, that song would pump me up if I was listening to this.
Too bad we don't have an active soundboard.
I actually used to own like a remix CD of the Mortal Kombat theme from the movie. Yeah, back in
Actually?
high school.
I had that soundtrack.
Yeah, I didn't have the whole soundtrack. I just had this one CD that had like 8 remixes of that one song.
That's
That
even
sounds
better.
like fucking torture.
You be quiet. Because if you
I
had
will
that,
not.
like if I was listening to this podcast, because I always do listen to our own podcast, and at that moment when if we had the
Thanks.
music kicked in, I would
Appreciate the
punch
support.
someone in the face.
Punch somebody.
Like I'd be totally listening to
While
it,
you're
like
working?
I'm like at work or something, or I'm walking. I
On the
don't
bus?
listen to my podcast at work. What are you talking about? And then I'm
on the bus.
I'm on, not even just like walking the mall. I'm listening to my podcast, and then I just see someone. Well, if I'm at the mall, I might as well punch someone in the face anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, you got.
Should we talk about Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, I guess. I love that game.
Okay, here's the thing. I was
did.
never a Mortal Kombat fan. I was kind of actually anti-Mortal Kombat. I was very pro Street Fighter
Oh, yeah.
all growing up, all until probably all my life.
Which was an important, controversial issue.
It was very
It was.
important. You don't even understand how split my household was.
It was like
Oh, really?
It was total East Coast West Coast rap, man. Seriously, it was East Coast West Coast rap.
West Coast.
I mean, that's what it was.
It's
it was,
PS3, Xbox.
Yeah,
It is. I can't think of
it was
anything else.
PS2 Xbox. I don't
The
count
North
PS3
and the
as-
South.
Yeah,
No, he's looking for other divisions.
Civil War,
North and the South Korea.
Marvel,
even.
DC.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Mortal Kombat Street Fighter has always been.
Was playing Primal Rage then equivalent to just going to Canada or something?
Yes,
Like that?
totally.
Primal Rage was because
Clay Fighters.
Street Fighter was already had a line to it, and so did Mortal Kombat. So you're at the arcade going, "I want to play a game." Oh, Primal Fear. Yay.
Anyway,
Soul Calibur.
so this is the first Mortal Kombat game that I probably played in a number of years, and I had a blast with it.
Yes. Thank you.
And I can't even. I mean, the last handful of Street Fighter games that I've tried to play, I have not been able to. However, this game I was able to jump in and play right away.
Cool.
And
It's amazing.
I think that it's just it maintains the simplicity without adding on too many. There are other factors. I mean, they do ramp up some of the strategy wise,
Yeah.
with like your power meter that's in there, because they do have and I don't know if this is new to this iteration of the game or if it was previously, but they do have a power gauge that's in there, and it has 3 different levels that you build up by taking hits or doing damage or taking damage. And the first level is your energy. Is that what it's called? I think something like that.
Yeah.
And it's you basically add when you do a move or one of your special moves, if you hit the right trigger, I believe it uses one of those bars and it adds it's like an extra energy to that power move that you do. So instead of throwing one thing, you throw like 2.
Yeah.
Or you do an extra kick or something like that. And then the second level that you build it up to is your combo breaker. So if you utilize that, you break their combo. And then the third one uses your full bar, and that's just by hitting both trigger buttons together, which is super simple. And it does their X-ray move, which is this super special move that does these this attack, and it does these X-ray things to show you where you're hitting your enemy, and they're all super violent and gross.
It's like the from what was the TNA or not TNA, but what was that Ultimate Fighting? They always had those in the
that's right,
commercials
that's right.
when someone would get.
And it would show the X-ray.
Yeah.
That's totally what they are. And they do like 20 to 30% damage to your opponent.
Yeah.
So they're really awesome. That system I found like really, really easy to use. And I'm not bright because the things about that Street Fighter, their gauges always confused me. And I don't know if it was just I didn't take the time to learn it or what the problem was.
Yeah.
But I also found their move sets to be a lot harder to do than the Mortal Kombat's doing.
I'll tell you right now, this game compared to I played Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. I love 3. 3 is the one that I love. This one blew me away. I didn't play the DC versus Mortal Kombat, so maybe they could have thrown some.
I
of
did,
these,
and I didn't like it.
so they didn't throw any of this game stuff, like the newer stuff, because that'd be the only place that they would. So it must be new to this game.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the story mode is what really got me about this game and really pulled me in. The fact that it kind of goes over the whole Mortal Kombat history. It goes through 1, 2, 3, and you get to play as certain people, and you get to almost fight mostly you're the heroes the whole time. So then you're fighting villains through it, and then they throw in some, you know, some heroes are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna go. You gotta make me go," and you're like, "I will." But I really enjoyed that. The only problem...
set it up a second, because what the story mode does is that it starts at the end of like Mortal Kombat 3, which I'm not. Isn't that how it works, like story-wise?
It starts at the very beginning.
Well, but it starts at the end with everybody getting taken out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then, And then basically modern day, or like back at the beginning of Mortal Kombat, like Raiden gets like a vision from his future
I forgot
self.
about that. Yeah.
And so then he's trying to course correct the entire time, and it goes through all the other games, basically retconning everything.
Yeah.
Which I'm not too steeped in Mortal Kombat history. At all. So
I thought it followed the
I didn't know any of this
even.
stuff. Well, it's not like I watched those movies either.
And that's
I'm
the thing
not
about
an
it
idiot.
is that the movies follow the whole the whole lore of Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know any of that stuff, but I didn't need to either, because
Yeah.
it kind of just gives you the story as you go along. And, you know, Raiden's going, well, that's not right. It tells you what he's changing, but he's saying, you know, things aren't still getting fixed.
Yep.
So I love that aspect of the way that they did the story. And the fact that you start off as one person. It's like 16 chapters, and you play each chapter as a different character, and you do like 5 fights, 4 or 5 fights. Sometimes you'll be one-on-one usually. Sometimes they throw in 2-on-1, so you're fighting 2 people, and they can tag out.
Because there's a tag element to it, and I never played the tag part of it.
Yeah.
I only played one player. I was like, that's the one thing about Street Fighter I don't like, is the tagging system.
Right, and that's how it's become.
Yep.
Like, only playing as 3 people all the time, and I'm like, I don't want to.
Yep, it becomes a button mashing just mess, and this Mortal Kombat seemed to streamline and really just it caters to everybody. If you've never played Mortal Kombat, I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you can try this game and you're not going to be lost. If you've played Mortal Kombat, the moveset is still kind of pretty similar. Like Scorpion is still similar, things like that. I really like that. The tutorial system of the game is fantastic. There's a fatality tutorial.
That's the thing.
That's the one thing about playing Mortal Kombat that a lot of people want. And if you can't do a fatality, it kind of is like, I don't like it. So that's why I like Mortal Kombat 3. I knew all of Sub-Zero's friggin' fatalities, and I could do them. And in this one, the fact that I could do all these other, like, oh, who's he? And basically they amped it up this time around even.
In the fatality tutorial, you basically pick your guy, you go in, and you're just standing there, and he's ready to go, and you just have to do it gives you the buttons on the screen, you do it, and then you do your fatality, and it's done.
Yep.
And you can do that with all 30-some people, which that was my problem with Street Fighter, is that the tutorial seemed really lame.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't teach me very well what I needed to do.
Right.
I felt. And this game has a tutorial where you can also do training on top of like any of the tutorials, but you can do training and you can set up all these things for the bot that you're fighting against.
Yep.
His reactiveness, like what he does, if he discards, if he attacks back, his speed, you can slow him down, you can make him do all these other things. You can record all that stuff and then watch it back if you want to.
Yeah.
If you're like a super nerd, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not. Well, I am, but not for Mortal Kombat, I guess. I found the training to be so well rounded.
Well, and then they throw in the challenges. There's a challenge ladder that has the whole test your might, you know, like breaking boards and things like that they had from the original game, which I thought was fantastic that they threw that in there.
And that ladder, there's ones where, I mean, those are all just different kinds of scenarios.
Yeah,
so it's like, oh, well, this one you can't jump. This one you do extra damage. This one they do extra damage. You know, this one you can only use special moves.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like having to like, well, what do I do with my special moves? I have to look up specifics about the people and see what I'm doing. And
yeah.
It was also a tutorial in itself.
I think there are also
secret
secret fights. I don't know if that's in the challenge or the story.
There
One of the videos on Xbox dashboard.
There's so much shit in that game. There's so much stuff buried in there because then in addition to all this, you're getting like points or coins as you go along, and then you're spending those to unlock things, which are characters, moves, like art, music, and there's hundreds of those.
Yeah, it's like
unlock.
this giant crypt. It's really
It was maybe the most cumbersome unlock system I've ever seen.
Big time.
Because you have to go maneuver around this 3D area and go to specific things and unlock them, and it took forever. I'm like, just unlock everything.
And if you went without like stopping, then something would come on the screen and go, "Brah!" And then
did it?
Yeah, that was ridiculous, but whatever.
I would hear things run around because the surround sound was on, so I would hear things like I would move to something and I would hear footprints like walk around, like run up to me, and I'm like, that's not cool.
Yeah, that whole crypt thing. But
I don't need that.
I really liked some of the, and then they have like the character models and things like that was really neat. The fact that I got to like chapter 9 and it was like 50% through with the story mode, and I was like, Jesus Christ. It's like, how long is this going to take? But that's my only beef with the game, because I completed the story mode on it. I had to bring it down to the lowest level.
Yeah, me too.
Just to beat that last guy, which I thought was so bad that I only died a couple times during the whole...
Was it only then that you had to turn it down?
That was the only time.
Me.
Yeah.
Not for me.
See, that was the only time. I was able to go through the whole game, and I had a lot of fun with it. But it was like I got to the final match, and it was just like,
who's that main guy?
It was Shao Kahn.
Yeah. It was the first time I had to fight him that I had to lower it, and that's not at the end of the game. It was probably about halfway through or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I was playing on normal until that point, and then I had to go down to the easiest or beginner or whatever, because he was a complete douche.
Well,
like, I couldn't do anything.
Well, because it was Liu King versus Shao Kahn. Yeah, and that was I was
so mad.
I had no problem, but then you get to the final, and I hate the character that you got to use to beat him, and I was having the hardest time with him, and he's the character that would kick my ass every day at the arcade, and I'm just like, quit it! I don't know how to do the jumping up and teleporting and flying and I'm just like, come on, but.
You got to learn.
That aside, was fantastic. Did hit some multiplayer, had some good experiences, had more bad experiences. Lagging. That's the one thing I hate in a fighting game. It's just like,
that's always good for a fighting game. I think lag. A couple seconds behind. That's good.
Yep. And then it's just like, oh, what? And I get punched in the face like 4 times. But like I was saying, like the violence was amped up. Huge. Some of those fatalities are messed up. Like Scorpion cuts you in half, then cuts you down the middle, then cuts you in half, cuts your head off, and as your head's flying in the air, cuts your head in half.
Well, yeah.
It's crazy.
I know some of them are really bad.
Sonya like picks you up, like does like a bear hug with her legs, lifts you in the air, and then like flips you, like rips you in half, so the blood falls right down on her vajayjay. And when she's standing up, and she's got blood all, and she's the scantily clad Sonya ever, and she's just standing there, and just blood's all in her crotch, up her breasts, and I'm like,
I'm in.
I never played her again.
That's terrible.
I liked some of her. I always liked her.
I gotta tell you,
her fatalities.
I did her
too.
fatalities because I went through the tutorial and did all of the fatalities, and I never noticed it. So I guess it's what you're looking for.
I guess so.
Well, you just see it every day.
Blood all over the vajay.
Nothing different here.
Yeah. But I was really, I kind of rented it as just, I'm going to rent it. It was there. And I've had bad experiences with other Mortal Kombat games. I get more upset.
I hear you. I've hated it always.
But everything I really like, other than that couple problems I had with the story mode, but other than that, I really enjoyed the game.
And that story mode took forever. It was like, it was multiple hours to get through.
Yeah.
16 chapters. It took forever. And now you have the challenge ladder, which will take forever because there's tons of those.
Yep.
I don't think I even got anywhere close to half through that thing.
Yep.
It was, I don't know how many challenges are in there, but there has to be a ton. And then there's also going through arcade mode with every character, all like 30 some characters that are in the game.
Yeah.
And they all have their little special ending thing.
Yep.
There's so much gameplay.
Yeah.
Like there's so much stuff going on. And that doesn't even count like any of the exhibition stuff or playing online multiplayer or anything like that. So I can't believe how much there is in the game.
I just think it really is a game that if you feel overwhelmed with it, it's got an answer for you inside the game. And I think that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Via tutorial or just the fact that they just kind of not dumbed it down, but just didn't have to. Made it for the Xbox controller to fight instead of having a 6 button, you know? They've made it simple for, like, I would love it if, Street Fighter would do a simple little, which they kind of did a little bit when they came out with 4, a little bit. But
I guess that's maybe.
I don't like the tag aspect.
I guess that's maybe my thing is that I felt like Street Fighter kind of passed me by.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat didn't, but they're not also stuck where they were because they're moving on as far as like game modes and ability and like growing like with that gauge thing.
Yeah.
And so they are adding new elements in and new strategy, but they're not moving on to like so difficult that it's like a certain subsect that can only play this game. It's like still anybody could pick up and play Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I felt.
Yeah. I
thought it looked great.
Graphically, I thought it was amazing looking.
Lots of gross stuff.
Yeah, but still, like really, really cool, and especially them using like the old school backgrounds. like the talking trees, but they're in like a 3-dimensional. But when they're like walking, like during the story mode, they're walking by them, and I'm like, oh, I know where they're at. And it was really neat for them to go to all these different, you know, during the story mode to go to those different scenes, because they're getting there, and I'm like, oh, they're on that bridge where the moon is at. And I'm like, oh, but I didn't get any, whoopsie. I didn't get him at all.
You know, that was the Toasty. That was in Dishwasher Vampire Smile.
Oh,
there's apparently an unlock. There's an achievement tied to. It happens in like this one point where like, but it's like this cat that comes on and says something, and you're supposed to press start at that point. And I didn't find this out until and that happened to me while I was playing. I'm like, what the hell was that? As I was playing. And then later I found out, oh shit, that's tied to an achievement.
That's funny.
I have to go back and play the whole damn thing, you know, get back to that point again.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Anyway, but yeah, those little unlock things. Yeah. The bridge, I think the bridge is where one of those secret battles are.
Yeah.
If like something flies in front of the moon.
You've got to do a special, and that's the thing too, is I really like the fact that during one of your ladder like the tutorial ladders or whatever, you go through those different sequences. That's one of them. So it shows you what you need to do to punch someone off of that bridge, which I think is fantastic, because it is a total different uppercut. So
wow.
And I think it's
great
really
well done
for them to throw that in there. So then you're not like, how do I do this? And I got to research and I got to look up all their, you know, and all their moveset is there at your fingertips.
That's true too. Yeah, it's all in like the pause, and it gives you specifics for that person.
All of them, and even the tag stuff, and I mean, it's all there. It's very it's good. It surprised me.
Me too.
So,
I'm down with it.
Awesome.
Might be the surprise game of the year for me.
Really?
Yep.
It's a little early to be calling that.
I'm just saying.
He said might. I'm going to talk very briefly then about Lego Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars. I'm going to preface this by saying that I came playing this right off of playing Lego Harry Potter. Like
that sounds like a nightmare.
Immediately,
that sounds like a little too much Lego at once, man.
It may have been, and I have to say, and Lego Harry Potter is like maybe one of the most entertaining Lego games that there has. And I would have to say this is probably my least entertaining Lego game. Yeah, Lego Star Wars 3. I found parts of it really monotonous. Like just kind of I think my problem was the story wasn't really cohesive for me, because you have the 3 separate tracks and there's big jumps between things happening. I mean, it's not like there's a really good plot thread
for everybody.
Maybe with Grievous, there's a little bit, since you know, you're really pursuing him, but especially with that top track where it's basically 3 separate plot threads.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and this is coming right off of Lego Harry Potter, which was story. And so then this is much more about gameplay and then showing off their new engine, which I didn't even really realize until I started playing it. And they have that new engine, in which is where they have the tons of enemies coming on the screen, the tons of spaceships flying around, and you know, adding elements to that. And
that opening when like all those droids like storm that place, and it just looks amazing.
It does. No,
so much shit going on.
It really does. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, I just found myself getting frustrated at certain points because there were things that I just really absolutely could not figure out. But then I eventually would figure it out after hour. I think I'm up to like over 30 hours playing it.
Oh my.
It's ridiculous. I'm over 90% though. So
okay, well that's a lot farther than I was.
Yeah.
I think I had around close to 25 hours in it.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, those Lego games, if you want that completion, then it's going to take you a long time. I mean, I went in knowing that, but and I don't know, I'm kind of torn on the whole battle thing. I thought it was a nice change up to begin with, and then later they felt like they're kind of doing the same things time and time again.
I don't find that they grow anything.
Well,
they just become even more complicated.
Then when you do the ground battles, they have different objectives, and that was a bit of a nice change up. But see, the thing is that it was just I was getting to the point where it's like, you know, I've got my cheats, I got all the red bricks, and so I'm just like, you know, I'm like, I don't really feel like doing this the hard way, and so then I just turn on my invincibility and my super speeders, and I can just blast everything off of a speeder bike. And then I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that. And I turn it off, and it's like takes me like 8 times as long to do the thing.
Do the same thing.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I like it. There's just, I don't know. There was a point at which I felt like, well, I kind of wish I didn't have to keep doing these things, and I don't have to do it. I mean, that's something. But
well, I also think that's a weakness of that storyline where they just put those one after another, one after another, one after another.
Yeah, there were a lot of those.
You just had to keep doing those, and like a lot in that whole thread. And I'm like, oh.
Well, and I mistakenly left all the ground battles to like the last thing, and so because you have to win all the ground battles for the Separatists and then for the Republic. Mm-hmm. And when you start off, it's mixed. And so, I started off with, I think, the Republic. And so, that was like, oh, I have to finish these 6 battles. And then I realized, oh, wait, now everything is controlled by the Republic, which means when I go to do the Separatists, I have to do every single one of these. Because some of the planets were controlled by the Republic already. And some were by the Separatists.
Yikes!
And I'm like, oh my god, I got so many battles to do. It would have been smarter for me to kind of intersperse those in between like story missions and whatever. I figured a way around. You were talking about bad guys on the good guy ship or good guys on the bad guy ship. Just control one bad guy and one good guy, and then switch to whoever ship you're on. They'll attack your partner. They'll go nuts over your partner, but
but he won't.
But they won't attack you.
And he'll keep dying.
And he'll teleport forward and shit like that. And so
I think I was running into a problem where sometimes I would get in an elevator and it would put my partner as somebody else all of a sudden.
Really? Wow!
Yeah, it was switching them out on its own.
I never had that.
And so then I was like, well, maybe this isn't going to work or something. I was having problems where it was switching my partner for no reason.
Yeah. I did have a lot of fun having R2 drive cars around. whenever you had that vehicle unlock thing on the ground battles, I would always have R2 jump in there and he'd drive it. It was awesome when it was an elephant. He was just riding around on the back of an elephant.
That is awesome.
No, there are a lot of good things in there, and when I say it was the least enjoyable one for me, that doesn't mean it wasn't enjoyable. I mean, obviously, I'm still plowing through it.
Right.
So it's just a comparison thing, and again, coming off of Harry Potter, which I thought was phenomenal. And again, shifting, because I talked about this when I talked about Harry Potter, shifting from that. You have the magic, and so the magic interacts with everything in very different ways. And just going to the more basic, you break things, and I mean, that's what you did in Harry Potter, but the way things played out was very different.
Yes.
I don't know. They had a wider variety of stuff, but
I think Harry Potter was still my favorite too.
It's really, really good. I'm still undecided whether I like that best or Batman best, but
I always forget about Batman too.
They're neck and neck with each other.
Batman was good.
Yeah. So
and I'm looking forward to Pirates.
Yes.
Oh, those Pirates Legos.
Deja vu.
They have like these portals. Pretty cool.
Portals?
No, they don't.
That's the worst segue ever.
It is the worst. And we're gonna point it out. I wish I could get in a portal now.
That's why I'm here.
Go somewhere else.
It's all about the funny. And if it's not funny, then I'm sorry. Portals out there, write in and tell me if I'm funny or not.
Portal 2.
Yes, Portal 2. Everybody got a chance at this, right?
We did. I finished it. I think I'm the only one that finished it. So
yeah, I've not finished the story.
No. So in the end, no, I'm not gonna.
Well, I think, and that's actually a good way to start, because one of the things that I really liked about it was that it's not just here's some more Portal levels for you.
Exactly.
It really. I mean, don't get me wrong. Portal would change things. The original Portal changed things up. Every once in a while, where you thought okay, so I'll just do some more of this, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I guess I got to do something else. But at least from what I've experienced so far in Portal 2, it takes that and then goes even further, and there's just some crazy left turns that you don't see coming.
That's what blew me away by it.
Yeah,
I wasn't ready for some of them. I still like towards. I've gotten pretty far. I think I'm on like chapter 6 or 7.
I think it's about where I am.
And
you guys are almost done then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and it really just throws you for a loop. And there's some great levels and change, and the panics there, and the
some
frantic.
Of the puzzles.
Puzzle wise, yeah, but it's really weird because like I was used to that room.
Oh yeah.
And they really changed it up on this one, and they didn't make that feel anymore. And the dialogue. was pretty great. What's it? Wheatley? Wheatley?
Yes.
He has the best line. He's like, I'm pretty sure we're going the right way. Just to reassure you. I was
It's Stephen Merchant, and he's fucking killing it in that role.
Hilarious, but
like that is
really
a perfect role for him. Like the dialogue, because that's how he talks in everything that he's in anyway. And so he like brings everything to that like role too, and it's just brilliantly done.
Yeah,
and I
love his stuff.
I think that's one of the things. You know, Portal is very memorable and has memorable characters, particularly through Gladys. But I really wouldn't say there's much of a plot. There's some backstory that you discover, and you know, there's a thread that does go through it, but it was never much of a plotted story. And this one, I think, actually, you know, it feels like it's a story.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like I'm doing puzzles. It feels like I'm doing a story.
You're doing puzzles as a means to learn more about what's going on.
Right, yeah.
And to get like through this area so you can see what's going on. And you know, they delve a lot with like past stuff, and they kind of give you an idea of where things started and where things are going. And I love that.
Yeah.
And I love the beginning with when you get thrown back into doing the tests.
Yes.
And for a large portion of that beginning of the game, you're in like an environment that's putting itself back together.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really well done because you kind of are still in the test chambers that are kind of just broken ass down and they're kind of just being built back up. And then eventually you get to the point where, everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
And that lasts for, I don't know.
Not that long.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
But you know, I thought it was awesome. Just the progression that you go through, and things are just on the change up. And you know, they add in new things this time around with puzzles. You know, you have light bridges that you have to deal with.
I love the light bridges. They are so much fun to play around with.
And then they add in these gels that you have to use, and there's 3 different kinds of those. And then they throw in like...
See, I've only gotten the repulsion gel so far. and that was something completely new. I mean, you say, it's a new element. Yeah, but I mean... Thinking about how to use the portals themselves, you have to reevaluate using the portals with that gel as well, because you know, it's a completely new dynamic that was not really something that was even hinted at in the first game.
What worried me at the beginning, honestly, is I knew going in a lot of things, because I didn't buy it right away. I waited about a week before I purchased it, and so I was hearing a lot of talk online about it on Twitter and things like that. And one of the big things that was coming up was the length of the game. And there was a lot of feedback coming back from people about the game being short.
I mean, I'm in chapter 6 or 7 and I played it for about 3.5 hours or something
You
like
can
that,
burn through it for sure.
But it's got all these other things. It's got the co-op, and
it does.
You know, and if you want to try to achieve these things, and doesn't have challenges as well? Or is that part of the co-op?
I think it's part of the co-op.
Oh, okay, I'm combining the two.
So, you know, even let's say it's an 8-hour game, like a single player 8-hour experience. We talked about Enslaved being the same kind of scenario potentially. My problem that I ran into in the beginning, and it was up to a certain section where you're not doing tests, you're kind of just moving forward.
Right.
Because I don't want to spoil anything for people. But
Sure.
I almost felt like, I can see where people are coming from, because if this is, you know, if I've played a couple of hours, there's only a couple more hours, or a handful of hours, there's a handful of hours left. And I kind of feel for a while now, I've just been kind of passively like experiencing what's going on, but not doing anything.
Yeah.
And nothing seemed to be too involved at that point. And I was like, well, I can kind of see where people are coming from. But then I got to the end of that, and everything kind of opened up more.
And then a left turn came.
Yeah, and
there's a bunch of left turns.
Right, and then more left turns, and then more left turns, and then by the end,
because I'm like, I'm at the end, and I'm like, no, wait, no, I'm not.
And then at the end of the game, I was like, I don't give a shit. It was awesome. Like, everything was fantastic.
Yeah.
But there was a point where I was a couple hours in where I was like, maybe people have a point that there's a problem. But you know, I have that problem. Let's say the game was 3 hours long.
Sure.
You still have to be able to put, like, well, is this worth it to you or not? We've talked about that at length before. Enslaved was worth a $60 game to you. Yeah. And I can totally see where you're coming from with that, too. Yeah. And it's just, it's not equitable. Like, number of hours. Like, how do you put number of hours on?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to count that, price? Then, I mean, I guess that's your quote-unquote objective criteria for measuring things. But, you know, like I said before with the stacking DLC, I've finished the story in an hour, and I probably could have completed it in just barely over that if I had been using hints or something like that. But, you know, I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was totally worth the $5 for that.
I think
it boils down to all that stuff.
Yeah, but also if you're going to just barrel through it, you're missing the game too, because Portal 2 has some awesome visuals and there's a lot of good things happening throughout that whole.
It's amazing.
Places to look, people to see.
I think it's almost impossible to just barrel through Portal 2 though. There are points where I'm like, how the hell where do I go?
Well,
like just figuring out where am I going to, and like how the fuck am I going to get anywhere close to where I want to be.
Right.
Well, I
love that.
There was one like you're in this factory and they're building the turrets.
Yeah.
And I stopped and watched them build turrets for like ever because it's so cool. They put up this like it looks like a model kit.
Yeah.
And then they put the turret together, then they put the turret in a box. And it's like so backwards of what it probably should be, but it's like they're pulling pieces. It's like the plastic square model pick. And I'm showing you listeners at home
on those frame things.
Yeah, and I thought it was fantastic. And I stood there and looked at it like, this is cool. And that's what I liked about the game. Is like it felt like there were so many things to just kind of like the scope and how big it was, especially when you started moving that first time.
And I like that they added a whole bunch of characters to the game too.
Yeah.
I mean, with the first game, it was you and GLaDOS, and that was cool. I mean, that was a really cool dynamic. But having a variety of characters in this game is actually quite. Again, that lends to it feeling much more like a story. It feels less like I'm just completing a puzzle game, and it feels more like I'm playing a story game.
Another problem that I had at the beginning of this one, getting into it, was. There was just such a much different element about, from the beginning of this game, GLaDOS being antagonistic towards you, that, like, as far as in the first game, it didn't go that way at the beginning. There was this lead up to it, and then it kind of switched. So to have that from the beginning was a little off-putting because you were like, oh, I'm just going to get her one-liners.
Right.
And then I'm going to go do the thing.
Right.
But you forget, or I forget, from the first game that really you just got some information, and it was funny and witty.
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't think everything's right here. Eventually you're like, well, this doesn't sound right.
You're putting the pieces together.
and so,
seeing the
but it was the same
wall,
scenario.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the same scenario where you would just get like one line of dialogue and you would go do your room.
Yeah.
But it felt a little different now because you felt like I felt personally.
You have history.
Like I had this connection. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you should be bitching at me nonstop. But now she's still just giving me one line. Like I wanted while I'm in the room to her to be saying shit to me too. You know
well, that was almost a little creepier because she would be like, oh, I'm going to go away for a little while.
I know.
And then I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I've got a surprise.
Well, your test results are in. You're a horrible person.
We weren't even testing for that.
I know. It's so great. That's what it says. A horrible person. So awesome. Fantastic. I was dying. Yeah. It's just, there's so much funny in it too. I mean, that's just, it stays witty throughout the entire thing. And even the ending is just brilliant.
Cool.
I loved it.
Let's call them.
So how was the co-op? Because I didn't get a chance to do any co-op.
I thought the co-op was fun.
It was really fun.
Now you're playing as robots, right?
Yeah. You're playing as robots.
Atlas and Peabody.
Okay. Nice name.
And you're going through, and basically it kind of hurts my brain even further because there's going to be
2 portal guns, or do you each control one of the portals?
No, you have 2 portal guns. So
nice.
there's basically 4 you have to deal with.
Oh my gosh.
So it becomes even more like, just like, how am I? We got to a couple rooms. We only did the first batch of 10. And there's at least 2 more. I think I don't remember how many total levels there are. But
it was awesome.
We did the first 10 challenge rooms or whatever. And we got to a couple of those that got a little bigger. And we were like, you had to do something. We had to use all 4 of our portals and like transfer stuff. And I'm like, this is going to hurt my goddamn brain as we go. Like, as we get further, like, I have a hard enough time figuring out what to do with my one, let alone having 2 people in the room. But it was awesome. And the GLaDOS stuff is hilarious because she still talks to you in between. And, it's.
And the fact that you're a bot. Yeah. And she's just like,
It's just like she's slamming you back and forth. Like, you get like, cooperation points. I can't remember what they're called. The cooperation points or whatever. She's like, not that they mean anything, but she's like,
line is it anyway?
She's like, one of you is doing better than the other. One of you is definitely my favorite or whatever. But I will. The other one being dumb enough, like not smart enough to figure it out, that she'll word it in a way that they won't be able to figure out. She's like, you're my favorite. Blue, orange, you're doing so good. It was so awesome. Like, it's that kind of stuff, like all nonstop. Or in between.
You know, Valve and with their whole aperture science and GLaDOS and all of that, they've taken mad science to a new level. And it is just so much fun. I mean, I think that's one of the strongest fun elements of the game, both games.
They're having lots of fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, goodness.
You guys mentioned before, though, the expansive rooms, and you were saying, like, looking around. I kind of didn't like that.
Really?
I didn't like...
It felt more like Half-Life 2 when I was playing those parts, though. Yeah.
But I would come in, and it's like, it's a huge room, and you're just looking for the one white spot. And you're like, where the fuck am I supposed to? So there's kind of a fun, element to that of figuring out and looking around.
It's kind of,
but I kind of like.
It felt more survivally. Like in the equipment rooms, it's like, oh, I feel safe. I'm always going to have a way out.
Maybe that was my problem.
But here, I'm like, holy shit! I literally spent like 10 minutes trying to figure out one thing in like this area, and then I eventually said, oh. I had to again stop thinking in my linear way, and I figured
Sean and I were talking.
I figured something else out.
Yeah, we were talking on the way down here, where it's like every solution is simple.
Yeah.
It's just that
you just have to be observant,
and you have to be observant, and you have to not overthink some of the things. Like sometimes I've gotten so like I was in this room where you had to do 5 things, and I did 4, and they were not super complicated, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm figuring this out. I'm like a genius, and I'm like, what the fuck? What do I need to do now? Why can't I get this? Where do I need to go? Like this last part, this last piece I needed to get. I had to go look it up online, and I seriously looked, and I saw the guy shoot. I looked like on the YouTube video, and I saw him shoot the portal, and I'm like, fuck me. It was literally, I had to turn around. I had looked everywhere in the room except behind me. Like I'm standing against the wall, like, where should I go? It's literally like at my back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am stupid.
Yeah. The one time I checked, and it was just right when I clicked and looked, I was looking at the video, and I just go, oh my god.
I haven't gotten to a point where I need to check videos yet, but I'm sure it'll get there.
I spent like a half hour.
Some of them, because like I said, I spent 10 minutes just standing there, like, what the hell? I like make a portal up high so I can get a vantage point. I'm like sticking my head out of the portal, looking around.
I love it. That's so awesome. Me too.
That's what you have.
We all do that shit. I love it.
You're like.
See my foot sticking out of the bottom portal down below.
Well, and
you don't want to fall through.
Another thing is I talk out loud the whole time when I play the game.
Yeah.
And so my wife's sitting there. I'm like, I'm sorry if I'm distracting, but I'm gonna talk out loud, and I'm not talking to you. But I'm like, I'll sit there and I'm like, all right, I got this one, and I shoot this, and I got to get up there. But I have to talk it out because otherwise I can't figure it out in my head.
Yeah.
Like I just have to be vocal about it, I guess. That is awesome.
Yeah.
And you see so many places, you're like, I know I need to get there.
Yeah, I knew where I was heading.
I know the answer. Like, how do I get to it?
Yeah.
What's the question? Just tell me the question.
Yeah. Good stuff, though.
I love it.
Visually, I think it's amazing. I thought it was just fantastic looking. I'm not a big first-person, fan, but this is
quite disorienting, so it surprises me.
And that's the thing. Is like I really enjoyed Portal, the first one.
Yeah.
So I think it helped this time around. But there's times where, I remember there's one where I walked to this like cliff, and I had no idea what to do. And I'm like looking down, and I was like, I totally pulled my guy. I totally pulled my guy back. I was like, I gotta get out of here. I was like, but I still, and like those are the simplest ones where you just like, oh, you look over that and do this, and
I seem to remember in the first game, and maybe I'm not remembering correctly. I was gonna try to replay it, but my game's missing.
I don't have it.
That's fine. I'm just saying it's missing. But I seem to remember a couple areas in the first game where you had to kind of get up really high, like build up. And it became more of a timing issue as far as like you had to bounce over here and then fall through one to propel you up here.
Right.
There doesn't seem to be. I've played through the game, but there doesn't seem to be that many things like that in this game.
Because there were times when I was like, do I need to do that? And I would try to do it, and I'm like, this isn't working at all.
Right. And it doesn't seem like there's as many time intensive, like, you have, it's all about timing.
Right.
And
it's more about setup.
I like that.
Yeah.
But in the first game, it made me a lot more nervous because I know there were a couple rooms that you had to almost like go up this huge chasm.
Yeah.
And I would get to the top, and it's like, if I miss this, I fall all the way back down, and my hands would be like all sweating, and I'd be freaking out.
Yeah, you don't really have that much.
I didn't run into that in this game, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
Because I don't need that shit.
Right.
I
got enough challenge elsewhere.
Exactly.
I still like the portal that I can fall into and just keep going, bouncing back and go back and forth. I don't know why.
My favorite is still just dropping a portal underneath a turret.
Oh yeah,
Just having it fall through.
I'm different.
Poor
guy.
There are a bunch of neat little
They
hidden
are.
things because, of course, now this is a full disc release
Yes.
as opposed to the part of the orange box, and so there are a ton of things so that they can have things for their achievements to
Yes.
tie to, and there's some funny ones with some of the turrets. In fact,
I'm worried that I missed a lot of that stuff. Like, because but I was conscious about it. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to play through, and I'm not going to worry about the peripheral.
Right.
And then I'm going to probably run through it again and try to worry about that stuff. But I loved it.
I like it a lot. The only problem I had was like, especially during the multiplayer, there's a lot of the loading is a little bit. They like disassemble the bots every time, and then they go into the loading screen, and then. Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I have a problem with the loading in the single player too.
Yeah,
I thought it kind of took me out of what was going on, and I don't remember how it was handled in the first one.
it was the same way every time you went through an elevator.
Yeah.
And it just loaded up again.
Yeah, it would just load. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Something about it this time seemed to take longer, or just it took me out of it more. I don't know what it was.
Well, there were more hallway loads. The elevator doesn't take me out so much because it's an elevator. But it was a little jarring when you would be like walking towards the door and the door's not opening. Door's not opening. Oh, and then you go to a loading screen, and then it comes out, and you're halfway back through that hallway. Oh, now I can go through the door. That did interrupt the flow.
Yeah, it is shit. Total shit.
So bad game. Right there. But GLaDOS is great.
It's right there with Mass Effect now.
Totally. Crap. All right. That it? Anybody else got anything on Portal?
I don't got
we
anything
good?
else. Yeah.
That'd be it.
All right. I got an email.
What?
And it's specifically for you, kind of, Craig. So
What?
Craig.
You kind of.
I am the near facsimile of Craig. He couldn't be here today.
I'm trying to feature.
I'm kind of Craig.
We thanked everybody for emails from the past,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm trying to feature more on the show when we get them. So,
of
so I
course.
want to make sure we mention it. Even though we could answer this in an email, it's probably a little more fun for us to answer it on the actual show. So, Blue Hellman.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a Mister in front of that, but if it's
I don't
formal,
think so. He's on my friends list.
not formal.
Yeah.
Yep.
He wrote us to say thanks for the show, guys. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank
is-
you.
I believe we were doing it just for him.
I haven't heard the rest of this letter yet, so I'm not gonna thank.
All right.
What you say you're welcome yet.
I do it just for him.
He said, and this is why it's directed to you, Craig, because he said, could you give
Never
me a
mind.
yes or no for purchase on Wakfu?
Oh, a yes or no for purchase on Wakfu.
And he follows up just to let you know, because you played the
I
game.
need more information. Yeah.
And he said he liked the demo.
Oh, okay.
Playing on easy, but fetch quests could get repetitive. So I didn't know if there was a huge fetch quest.
There's not.
option
It's
in
not
there.
really a huge fetch quest thing. Actually, it's much more of a linear story game. It looks like it's a MMO RPG where you're going to be running and doing lots of fetch quests, but really you don't do that much stuff. You're kind of moving along one way, and then you have a boss to fight or a mini boss or something like that, and you beat them, and then you kind of move into the next level.
Okay.
It's much more straightforward action adventure story. So if you like the demo, then I would recommend purchasing it because it continues that and adds some depth to some of the fighting abilities and the upgrades that you can do. You can really end up doing some cool things with that.
There you go. See, and that's why people should ask you questions, because if they asked me that question, I would have been like, why don't you listen to episode 66? Craig talked about it for like 10 minutes.
Plus, I unlocked that platypus.
He talked about
he
it
was
for
running around me for
10
a
minute
while.
and said
That's the
globule.
globule platypus.
He said globule like 12 times.
I still haven't played that game.
Globule.
No,
Wakfu.
Wakfu. Yeah, I always want to.
He said he he followed it, or he closed it out with, he's gonna play it safe and get Outland for now, but good to know for later. So he did good with Outland too, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a good game too.
Yeah, it is a good game. Yeah.
But thank you for the email.
Yes,
we
thank you.
appreciate it. And
I want to spend a special thank you out to Pinata. Is it 242? No.
240.
Okay, I won't. I'm done.
yeah, why?
Well, he set up an awesome, awesome, the whatever.
God, I wanted to talk about that during
high
the
stakes poker,
XBLA.
whatever
Yeah.
you call
Oh,
it.
yeah,
What's the name
yeah.
of it? What's it? Full deck.
Full House Poker,
I don't know. I just play poker. I love it.
Under the table,
Boulder,
flip them over.
I don't know.
What? I love this party. This is my kind of party. But he totally set it up. In theory, it was going to be awesome, and it was too much for.
It was like a big 20-some person tournament.
Yeah,
right?
it was too much for Xbox to handle, and
they couldn't handle the awesome.
Yeah,
they have some problems still with their server
That's
issues.
too bad.
Yeah, so I wanted to thank just for setting it up. I thought that was fantastic, and offering it up to the pseudo radio community as well. And I missed Parks and Rec because of it, but that's fine. But I got to watch it on Hulu.
Hulu Plus.
Christ.
Good time for the trial for you.
Yeah, it was
catch
perfect.
It this week.
It was bam, and I got to watch it. So I want to just say thank you. I thought that was great.
Hopefully they can get their shit fixed.
Yeah.
We can all do one
that
again
would be
sometime.
cool.
That'd be awesome.
That
we
would
need to
be.
get those events again going again.
Get on it,
Thanks
kids.
to the listeners who do that stuff.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're
Let me
too
tell
lazy
you
to do it.
That is the
let me
best
tell you my
part about
problem.
the listeners because they
Stanley
do that.
Cup's going on right now, so I pretty much don't do anything at night except
So you should break out your NHL and be playing
watch
that.
NHL hockey. And
Stanley Cup?
and
Is that like car racing?
and read comic books.
I will hit you too.
All I do is read comic books. Last night I was watching a game and reading a comic book.
Multitasking right there.
Exactly. That's what it was.
I also wanted to send a thank you
my
to
God.
Spicoli Driver on the forums.
You shouldn't have done that because he's gonna love this name drop, man.
For a personal message and all of that. I'm not gonna go into the details of it, but another heartfelt thank you for that.
Nice.
He's a Twitter stalker, man.
He hooked you up with that free clinic
Yes.
recommendation.
He told me about Sean's Valtrex prescription, and I had it checked out right away. So
It's a free clinic just for gaming nerds that don't know what to do because they don't know. I got some kind of disease from something.
Certainly not a woman.
Exactly. I must have been sitting on a toilet at a Walmart or something.
That's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
For most of us.
God.
I don't know.
Hey, Walmart doesn't sponsor us.
This is
All right.
turned into something strange.
Signinpodcast.com. Our website. You can find a link to our Twitter, our Facebook, all of our past episodes, our forums. So you can find out other community playdates that we don't do over there.
Yeah,
but other people do.
Get on it, guys.
Yeah, you guys get on it.
Now
I
you're
can't be
being demanding.
responsible.
Don't look at. No, I'm saying to the listeners. Get on it, listeners.
We have people to play with over there. And all the other pseudo radio shows, including 3-Die Block and The Pull List, which got a facelift this last week.
Yes.
At least temporary, right?
Yeah.
You guys added a new member
Yes.
for the time being?
Yep.
For the time being. Yep.
And he's already ruining
Until he
things.
pisses us off.
Yep.
He's already ruined.
Oh, so it's just for 1 week then? That all lasted?
Until we have to fall onto you.
I heard the show. It was well done, gentlemen.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
It's good that you can listen
Despite the change,
now that
it was
you-
well done.
Now that you read.
And now
that
I
you
read comics so I can listen to your
Yeah.
other show because honestly,
Awesome.
I didn't listen to a lot of the other ones because I didn't want to because I'm a baby.
You are.
And I don't want spoilers ever in case I ever read anything. So now I can listen to it and just skip specific things.
In the possible future, I might read this.
That's correct.
It could fall in front of my face open.
You don't even know. That's how my brain
I would
operates.
accidentally read it, and I'd be like, I already know this.
If you would like to send us an email, you can do so at comments@signedinpodcast.com.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from
Yes,
you.
we
Yeah,
would.
please.
And if you get us on iTunes, please leave a review. If you don't want to take the time to leave a review, just click on one of the stars. That's all we ask. Mm-hmm. It would greatly help us to get noticed out there. We have a bunch on there, but it would be nice to have more always. That stuff helps us get seen by other people
Definitely.
and move up the charts.
Yeah.
And we
all
want to
about
be
the
number one
charts.
on the charts, yo. It's all about the charts.
This podcast's going platinum.
It's all about the hits. The hits.
We're going copper.
We need the hits and the clicks. I don't know what we're talking about.
Clicks.
Next episode,
That kind of
Thor is coming out.
Yeah.
The video game. Brink is finally coming out.
What's that?
It's a game.
It's kind of like Team Fortress from the Orange Box.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. I just need,
I know.
titles I
gotcha.
don't know, but.
and a couple demos that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Red Faction and the Pirates.
Yeah.
Lego. So
And I know there are some XBLA games coming out this month. I don't know if they'll be out by the next episode, but that I'm looking forward to.
That you're looking forward to?
Including like that Gatling Gears and
nice.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm just giving a little forewarning that my gaming might take a little drop. I'm still going to be on the show, but it might take a little drop because I'm going to be in the process of moving in the.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
next
That's
month.
understandable.
So just you know.
Speak for yourself, Greg.
Hey, I always got to say priorities, but I might get overruled on this one. Hey, Sean, we're doing this. I gotta play video games.
You're saying priorities, but then you're like acting like you have none of them because you're saying gaming's going to take a back seat. So I don't understand.
Oh,
you're still on the show,
yes,
for the time being.
But
Until he pisses off.
Great.
Depending on where my priorities
I'm getting
fall.
replaced on all the shows then. Sweet.
All right, that it?
Yes.
Let's get out of here.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you are receiving this transmission, this has been a pseudo radio production. Repeat, this has been a pseudo radio production, copyright 2011.